the intro, Mr. Special Guest, Mr. Steven Sharif.
Well, hello, and welcome to the very special episode of episode 100 of the 1v1 podcast. And I have a very special guest. He is the man who inspired myself and countless others to make YouTube channels of a game that quite literally does not exist. He is our Sandalord and Savior, our creative director of Intrepid Studios, Steven Sharif.
I know also one more person who did the same thing, made a YouTube channel.
What is going on, my dude?
I am excited to be here. I can't believe 100 episodes. Holy shit.
Actually, yeah, that's a lot of work. And that's not only that's just a lot of work, but there are not that many people. Like the Ashes of Creation niche is not that big at the moment, right? When it's only alpha 2. It starts getting a little bit of traction now, like within maybe past 1-2 months. But before that, like a year ago or 2 years ago, or God forbid, like 3-4 years ago, it was a dry desert. And it takes a lot of efforts, and it requires a lot of motivation to make the content, and just knowing that you will have 500 views on a video that you spend hours on. It's not easy, and that's actually the reason why I basically started making videos more actively in the past 2 months after the Alpha 2 date has been announced. Because even though I don't mind grinding, right, I still prefer to see some, results after that. So yeah, I think we'll maybe explode when Asmon and other streamers start streaming in Alpha 2. I think there's going to be there will be definitely an influx of players and people who consume Ashes of Creation content when the Alpha 2 begins, because even though it's Alpha, people will still be making YouTube videos with guides, how to complete this quest, where to find this thing, how to craft stuff, etc., etc. And that's basically what I will most likely be doing. So yeah, I expect much more people after Alpha 2 begins. And there's going to be a lot of people who are not paying attention to Ashes of Creation, and now they're going to be like, oh, Alpha 2, what's that all about? And they'll start, taking a deeper dive in the game.
I cheated a little bit, but they don't have to know that. But yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe that we're at this point. I can't believe that I even have you on to talk Ashes of Creation, a little bit about yourself and everything like that. And, just to start it off, how's everything been going as far as testing and everything like that?
It has been a little bit of a mad dash here over the course of the last few months. We have officially now invited all of the Alpha 1 testers, so they are currently in the pre-A2 testing.
Top tier copium content. We'll see. I mean, people call me what's the word for it? Like copium inhaler? Is that the word Narc uses? But I don't know. I'm trying to be objective as much as I possibly can, and probably what makes me a little bit different is that I don't really care about the problems that I don't know for a fact exist. And because in fact 90% of the things that we worry about, or just the overwhelming majority of things that we worry about, never actually come true. So I'm like, well, I'll worry about that when that actually becomes a problem in majority of cases, but sometimes you can predict problems. So yeah. Now, but jokes aside, there were some good information from the 1v1. Yeah, and there was some good information about from this interview that was today. I will just ask the guys whether they are okay with me reacting to that interview, because I asked Vladis and he said yeah, it's not a problem. So yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna actually send the link to Vladis' channel in YouTube chat as well, so that you can go ahead and give him a follow, because he did a great job by making this possible. Let's go.
Let's go.
and we are finding as many bugs and crashes and issues as we
Good.
can. I think that the majority of the testers will tell you that, test after test, they're seeing improvement and improvement, which is good. We are very much in a test and react
Hey,
phase with
hail,
the studio as a
hello.
whole, as a team, right? It's kind of
Right.
like daily
You didn't really miss anything yet. We are just starting.
triage, hot fix, approaches that we are doing. We decided last weekend to extend the testing 24/7, so we've been up 24/7 over the
Oh,
course of the
Oh, that's
last
awesome.
7 days or so, um, or 8 days, which was a little bit of an adjustment for the team. Right now, we are working 7 days, and we are trying to
Mio,
get
hello. Glad to
everything in
see you
order,
here.
trying to get everything in a position where, obviously stability is the utmost importance.
Yeah, especially during the phase one. And it's cool that they have these 24/7 tests because first of all, the more bugs they find, and the less bug there will be for us, right? So yeah, it's good
And
to
then
hear.
after that is performance for us. And then, we have a host of different gameplay bugs that exist within the game that, of course, we're going to be addressing, but we're focused on stability and performance right now.
That's awesome. I mean, the thing, Steven, like,
Yeah, the thing is, like, once again, by no means I'm, not an expert on, technical stuff, but correct me if I'm wrong. If they manage to deal with that server stability issue, like, not like there's, I don't know about some specific issue, but if they manage to maintain servers in the proper state without, crashes and, freezes, etc., then it's a huge step ahead, in my opinion, because the rest is just, implementing content, polishing, fixing bugs, etc. But you can't really do all that if you have problems with the servers. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the case.
when I go and talk to people in discords when I talk about Ashes of Creation, especially going off of feedback and just off of, we always say this is going to be a testing and not a game, right? We've been preaching that, we've been saying that, content creators, yourself, Margaret, but there's a
Yep, I've made a video about that as well. I believe a previous one, about what people need to should expect from Alpha 2. I think for any content creator, it's important to emphasize that because there are people who watch the videos and not everyone is following the game closely, so they might have that weird perception about Alpha 2 based on their experience with alpha tests in other games, which are not necessarily true alpha, which are more of early access, So yeah.
lot of people that I've talked to that have never really tested an MMO at an alpha state.
Oh,
There's a
Right.
lot of lack of knowledge of like, well, what do I do if I'm not playing a game? Then I'm testing, and what am I doing? Stuff repeated. So really, like, I guess the first question I truly have is like, what kind of feedback are you guys looking for from Alpha 2 from a player perspective, and are you going to be giving new testers like direction and
Yeah.
what you guys want feedback on specifically for systems?
Yeah, I think what you just talked about, which was, you have interacted with a lot of people who haven't gone through this process before. I think that is a byproduct of the open development approach that we're taking, right? Like, yes, there are games out there that have had transparent development processes. We're seeing that more and more, right, over the course of these last several years.
Wait, are there any other games that also do open development, use open development approach? Because I haven't seen any. I mean, to be fair, I'm not really paying attention to other games, but are there any at all?
But I'm not sure that there are a lot that are doing it to the degree we are, but also to the exposure that we are as well. Like,
Yeah, true.
people are aware of Ashes of Creation who wouldn't traditionally be aware of games that are going through this phase of
Pantheon.
development, right?
Right.
I see.
And as a result of that, you're going to get a lot of individuals who are only interested in playing a game, and they can't.
Yep, I said that before. I said that during the Lionhold showcase that there will be people who will have access to alpha but they will not report anything. They'll be just there to play the game, which is like not the most proper approach when it comes to Alpha 2, but still it's understandable, and they will still help in terms of, testing the server stability, etc., right? So, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world that is perfect.
Can't bifurcate what is their desire to play the game versus
Oh yeah, a little spoiler actually. I'm currently preparing to like edit a video with the most, the funniest and the cringiest comments about Ashes of Creation on TikTok. Because if you don't know, I have a TikTok like Ashes of Creation related, and the amount, like, if you think that Discord or Reddit has Doomium or some crazy takes, you don't know anything about Doomium and crazy takes. Like, TikTok is where all the shit is. And I'm gonna show you that pretty soon. Like, maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, I will edit that video, and it's gonna be interesting. I'm usually there answering the weird shit in your yeah. I saw that.
the stage we are in, which is still very much testing and building the game.
Right.
And so, when we talk about like direction that we give our testers, every day we are interacting with our test group right now, right? We have thousands and thousands.
Damn, Narc is anti AOC streamers in his chat. Haha. I don't really like. I can't say he really is. I don't think he like personally is. He may be kind of reacting like that a little bit because that's what the audience likes. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think he personally has any problems with any content creators, like apart from the few exceptions that I've heard about. But yeah.
Thousands of Alpha 1 testers that are a part of the testing Discord, the NDA Discord, who are receiving multiple updates daily from the community team, from the development team. They're working with the development team in voice channels as they're playing. We're actively
That's really
collecting
good.
logs from them. We're actively doing focus groups with them. We're engaged with the audience in an effort to help guide both our prioritization of bugs that we need to fix based on impact,
Right.
our iteration and how we address issues that players are experiencing with certain gameplay systems. Balance wise, right? We're now doing kind of broad stroke balance approaches to hone in on what we want to iterate on from a combat perspective, from an ability damage perspective, from an economy perspective. All of these things are being done in league with the testers that we have participating.
Right.
And it is important that when we talk.
Oh wait, quick question. I just saw that in the Twitch chat, right? Have you guys ever saw an ad on my stream so far? Because what I just read is that Twitch doesn't show ads if a streamer is neither affiliate nor a partner, and I'm neither of those at the moment because I need 2 more streams to apply for affiliate. I didn't. Cool. All right, so at least no, I don't get ads. Okay, cool. So this stream and the next one will be ad free, and this stream after that, I might need to figure out how to deal with them. Because if I apply and to affiliate, like whatever that is status, right? We will have the channel points, we will have emojis, subscriptions will also be available, and maybe something else that I'm not aware of because I don't really remember all the details about the Twitch stuff.
Talk about what feedback represents, that a lot of times players enjoy getting into the solutions realm of how do I solve a problem.
Absolutely.
That's not necessarily where we want a lot of players to go to. Where we want players to focus on is helping to describe the problem, helping make that problem statement.
It's the second time he mentioning this because the first time was during the line hold preview, and that's a fair point actually. Hmm. I'm interesting. Is there a difference for them? Like, is there a difference between suggestions and solutions? But okay, yeah. I guess it's a rhetorical question.
Right.
because there's a lot of connectivity between all of these systems within the game that we can't expect the players to be aware of
Right.
uniformly, right?
Right.
And so as a result of that, the more detail that players give in why they disliked an interaction or why they liked an interaction or how that gameplay was not fun for them or whatever, right? Describing the problem statement in a very detailed fashion gives us the information we need to then solution form. And we
Right.
solution form with the community right now. Like,
Right.
with our players, we're discussing, our approach, what we're going to do as part of our patch notes process as well. Like, we made these changes because of this. We made these changes, because of your feedback.
Yeah, that's also one of the things I've seen that a lot, and I made a few suggestions on the forum as well. But I also try to think about it. But it's very good that he mentions that because oftentimes people make a suggestion without realizing that this, like, if that suggestion gets implemented in the game, right? It will it's not over. It will also affect multiple other systems, like anything that, for example, if you change caravans, caravan is a part of PvP system. Caravan is interconnected with the highwayman progression system. It's also connected with the node progression system, etc., etc. So when you're making a suggestion, like if you think that is worth your time, you need to take into account all systems that that are interdependent between each other, among each other, that are connected, basically. Sorry, my English is not the best.
Well, you guys did.
So yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, I was gonna say y'all did an excellent job. Like that was why I actually became a content creator because we know the 2020 interview with you and Asmin was a huge pivotal moment of the whole Lazy Peon video. And then that whole time I was watching all the way until the release of Alpha 1 and y'all's feedback and how y'all handled the discourse of interaction with the community is what really sold me because companies don't do that, man. They don't offer direction. They don't,
Right.
if you're trying to test something and they're like, well, just play the game and just leave whatever feedback you want. And that kind of leads into the next question is, I've talked to so many people that are very adamant, Steven, about certain systems and they
As Vlad is from Texas, I have no idea, to be honest.
want them changed in the way they deem is the correct way. And so when it comes to certain systems in Ashes of Creation, which systems will never change due to feedback? Because I think there's a lot of people that are going to try to change systems that are fundamentally just not going to.
Yes, such as like PvP, such as risk versus reward, such as, oh, hey, Vladis. Yeah, guys, so here's the guy who made the interview. I've sent the link to his. Sorry, I'm still getting confused. Soda Surfer, thank you so much for following. Appreciate you being here. The notification sound still scares me. And yeah, so that's the guy. Make sure to give him a follow. I've sent his YouTube link. Here is his Twitch. I recommend you to do that because he did a great job by making this possible, right? And let's continue. Yeah, everybody who's watching me on YouTube, quick reminder, like I mostly pay attention to the Twitch chat. If you wanted to engage in a conversation or say something, feel free to join the Twitch stream. And yeah, see you there. But if you are comfortable on YouTube, that's totally okay.
Yeah, I think when I think about what the identity is of Ashes, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's core systems that contribute to that identity, such
Right.
as PVX, right? Such
Exactly.
as a dynamic world, right? And those big terms, those big keywords, they have a lot of supporting systems underneath them, which
Right.
could see potential balance changes. They could see potential interaction changes slight, but the
Right.
intent of what those systems provide, which is this concept of always being aware of your other players and their disposition towards you, right? Of managing your reputation, of building alliances and, maintaining enemies. Like that's the PvX realm. And
Right.
what systems support that? Our flagging system, our war systems, our reputation and citizenship systems, like all of these pseudo faction systems exist, right? And so it's kind of difficult to give an answer that's really broad stroke here about what systems will we never change. I think it's what intents will we never change, right? Because
Correct. Like the philosophy, because I think there's a lot of people that are trying to change the philosophy of this game. Like people are asking
correct.
for PvE
That's right.
servers when that's
I remember this part from yesterday. That was literally the thought that I had in my mind about people who are like, oh, make Ashes PvE, but I mean, the whole the whole PvP and PK system becomes irrelevant and dies. Bounty hunter system becomes irrelevant and dies. Caravan system dies. What else? I mean, that's enough anyway, right? So what's the point?
something
That's
that
right.
is never going to happen. But it's kind of hard to, as like a content creator, it's kind of hard to tell people that because they're like, well, they're a company that listens, and it's like, well, yes, but they're not going to.
If you want a PvE game, go play. Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of other PvE like games that are more catering to PvE players. Like New World, for example. Yes, there is PvP, but that's like what 1% of the whole, your experience. I mean,
Going to listen to
Right.
everything. They're, you know what I mean? Like it's impossible to do that as a company.
Yeah, well, part of as a content creator, the angle that I would take in interfacing with those players is that, look, you know, a game like Ashes is very direct about what it's trying to be, right?
Exactly.
We are telling you what we're trying to build. Now, the results of building that, we may not always hit the mark, and that's where we come back and we iterate on something, right? And we take the players'
Right.
feedback. But what we're trying to do will stay consistent, and that is really a dynamic world that is fraught with danger, both player and environment.
Stradivarius 9. Thank you so much for following. Hope you're having a good day and hope you're having a good time here.
Right,
Absolutely.
and that's at the crux of what Ashes is. And on the dynamic world side, things that aren't going to change ever is that a lot of our systems are predicated on player activity, right?
Right.
And those predications are usually surfaced through the node system, are usually surfaced through the world spawn systems, right? And seeing a world that changes day to day is also the intent. So those are the things that really aren't going to change. The dynamicism that we predicate world activity off of, as well as the player versus X approach.
Okay. I mean, I think ultimately, like, there's just people that want to shape Ashes into what they want. And this is your
Oh,
game,
yeah,
Steven. You can do whatever
absolutely.
you want. Right. So I think ultimately, like, if I'm spending millions of dollars of my own money, I'm going to make what I want. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I really appreciate the fact that you are so open and, you do allow the flexibility for certain systems to be altered, but not completely remade, and
Yeah,
changed completely.
to be clear, like when you talk about I'm going to make the game I want, I
We
agree.
want
But
PvX. Yeah.
however, my approach that I've taken has been one of, hey, come and make it with me,
Right.
right? And that's the reason why we do this, right?
Exactly.
So to a degree, I am inviting that level of collaboration, that level of feedback from the community. The only difference is I know who my core audience is. And it's those individuals who understand the intent, who understand the philosophy, who agree with that philosophy,
Yes.
right? That are going to best have their expectations managed because they know what the end goal is for PVX and for Dynamic World.
Right.
It's when you have a broader audience and you have people who may not be as familiar with that intent, and they come in and they say, no, 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 change this.
Right.
Well, that's not.
A game for everyone is a game for no one, as it is written as a slogan used by some Swedish company in the gaming industry, and this is so goddamn true.
Why we're building the game. And so it just takes a little bit of diligence on the side of the content creators, on the continued diligence of the company. That interaction continues to occur where we say, no, 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 this is our goal, this is our intent, and we will continue to work towards that end.
Right. Well, this might be a very super straightforward question, but there's like 20, isn't there 22 biomes in total right now? Or is there 20? I can't remember. I always get confused with professions and biomes. There's a lot of biomes, Steven.
Biomes, I believe there are 18.
18. Okay. Will we test every single biome before Alpha 2 is finished as testers?
Yes. Yeah. Alpha, because technically Alpha 2 will continue to run until launch.
Right.
So yeah, so absolutely. And what we talked about was that when betas begin, they will begin concurrently alongside as the Alpha 2 servers continue.
I think both me right now and all other content creators are fucking happy because there's going to be a lot of, new content added, and you can, finally make content about the game that is somewhat exists, let's put it that way, in alpha state, right? Not about some, purely theory crafting, speculations, etc., etc.
Right.
Okay.
So, everything will be tested as part of Alpha 2 because Alpha 2 continues to run until launch.
Okay. The kind of follow-up to I have to that, because there was a lot of people that were thinking we're not going to test every facet of this game, and there was going to be maybe because people were like, oh, Steven and the team are probably going to leave some things up to discovery whenever the actual launch day happens or whatever, or they might hire like a professional testing house to test certain systems.
We have multiple professional testing houses. We have 2 contracted QA testing houses that we work with, one in Europe and one in Mexico. And then we have our internal QA teams that are, a dozen strong right now as well. So, there are many QA testers that we use on the project, 100%. And those are where we, obviously have more granular test reports from, where we have very specific required QA, analyses that are done.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, you will need to spend an insane amount of time and money and, just deal with a lot of organizational stuff if you want to test at least one server with like 3,000 people, right? And a lot of especially not especially, but also on TikTok, a lot of people keep writing the same thing, like, why do I need to pay for for alpha? Well, I'm like, well, you don't. You only participate if you want to. That's the first thing. And secondly, I'm gonna mention that in the next video, but I think this is the best analogy or a metaphor that describes this situation with paid alpha. So, for example, no, not for example, it's actually a real example. I live in a house, right? And sometimes the house needs to be cleaned. I don't like cleaning my house. I can do that, but I just don't like it, right? So I call a lady that comes and cleans my house, and I pay her money for that, right? I don't think anybody has any problems with this. It kind of makes sense, right? But if tomorrow this lady comes and says, hey, Flanker, I will clean your house for free, I'll be like, well, okay, I guess, right? But if the day after tomorrow she comes and says, you know what, Flanker, I'm going to clean your house and also pay you $100, I'll be like, well, all right, I guess, right? I only care about my house being clean, right? And that's a nice bonus. So the point that I'm trying to make is, if they have 150,000 people who can pay and who are ready to pay $250 for testing, why wouldn't they use that and instead make it free? Well, first of all, it helps them to bring funds, and secondly, people who are, who invested some money into it will, there's a higher chance that they will actually do something and test the game, right? Because if you make it free, first of all, you'll need a shit ton of servers, because when there's Asmongold, Shroud, or a few other big streamers, start streaming it, there's going to be tens, like not even tens, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who will come, and it's going to be what, like a shit ton of expenses on the servers and their maintenance, insane queues, right? And people will just log in, spend a few hours, say like, oh, there is a bug, it's not a finished game, the game is broken, blah, 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 same as they do now, and they will leave. And it's going to be a disaster, right? So we still don't know how good will Alpha 2 go under these circumstances that we have now, but like the alternative is fucking worse. So yeah. And also, I understand that, like, it costs money and maybe not everybody can afford that. I'm going to Lurk, getting dinner with family. Thank you for everyone. No, it's thank you, Vladus, for, arranging this interview. So, yeah, and the point that I'm trying to make is, the alternative is worse, and, we'll see how it goes. Do we have to pay the $15 per month during alpha beta, or that's only when the game is finished? No, you don't have to pay it now. You only need to pay it after the release. And if you have a pack or a key for Alpha 2, it includes some free game time. So a key includes 1 month, I believe, and the packs include, it depends on the pack. For example, the ordinary $250 pack, I believe, includes 6 months. Mine includes 9 months of the playtime, and there are people who also have like, free subscription forever, but those packs were like 500 or something. So and I understand that this may be expensive for some people, especially like even in tier 1 countries like US, Canada. Not everybody can afford it, and I can only imagine how it is in other countries, but you're not forced to do that. And actually, yesterday there was a guy also in the comments who said like, I like the game, I really like it, but I don't have the money to, to buy a key, and which is understandable, and I respect his honesty, right? But then I wrote him like, hey buddy, there's a giveaway going on right now. You can just, spend 2 minutes and get a chance to win a key, right? And he replied, oh yeah, I looked at it, but it required me to make some, steps, complete a few steps and make some simple tasks, like follow them on Discord or on Twitter, right? And he's like, no, that's a turn off. And I'm like, it's 2 minutes of your time and you want to play the game because you just said that you love it. Like, what kind of logic is that? You can't even, do that to achieve your goal. So, if you if you assume Alpha 2 lasts 2 years, then the entry cost is only $5 a month if you break it down. Yeah, but once again, it's like some people just like they want everything, they want it now, and they want to do anything for that. Well, sorry, that's not the way the world works.
And submit directly to our JIRAs as it goes back to our developers. Like, right. That is a different testing apparatus than what we expect from our community.
Okay. That's honestly really, really good to hear. The thing is that one of the things that I wouldn't say worried, but when Alpha 2 starts, we're going to get 3 days to play, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We really don't know exactly, if it's going to be like,
don't forget that the betas are included. Yeah, both beta phases, also a month of game time, which is a nice bonus, and $15 in embers. Some people care about cosmetics, so I guess it's fine. You will be able to get something.
Like 24/7, like as soon as Thursday midnight happens, we can go in on Friday, or if there's going to be a certain time or whatever. But my question is regarding tools. This is very split. I've talked to a lot of Discord people in the community about this, and I'm a fan of tools as a player, especially when I have very limited time to test. And I really want to ask the question is, will players be given tools at the start of the Alpha 2 to either level more quickly, have like a vendor with...
I don't think, I don't remember all the answers because I was just, watched it a little bit and then kind of forgot. But the thing is, I don't think there'll be items to, I believe I mentioned it in one of the previous videos. I don't think there's going to be items to increase your leveling speed because progression is one of the things that they want to test. So I think it's not going to be the case.
All the profession recipes, gatherables, to test what they want to test. Like if they don't want to go out and quest or do something and they're like, hey, I'm all about professions, I just want to get feedback on professions, I can stay in the town and do that. Or maybe offer something like that, like on a separate server that's more of a testing server and have a more natural play the game as intended kind of server.
It is possible that we will have sessions that are hyper-focused around particular systems and that we offer shortcuts of ease in order to interact with that system as intended. That would be done on our public test realm. We actually...
Maybe they will offer something free during testing if they want to test some endgame stuff. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. But once again, it's what, level 25 is the cap? I mean, it's not that. Like, for our scale, it's going to be mandatory to reach level 25 within what? They said it takes like 100 hours. So, okay. Like, maybe 6 days? Can we do that in 6 days? I think so. If we really, one day. Yeah, one day.
Actually just stood up this last week our public test realm.
Steven says they have a separate PTR where they can spot test specific systems. Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, that's where it's going to happen. But I would prefer more, live environment, like as if it is a start, like a launch, right?
In addition to the Alpha 2 test realms.
Don't like shortcuts.
And the reason for that is to do what you just described, is to test specific specific things that we don't want to sully the data that we collect from normal progression on the Alpha 2 realms.
Makes sense.
So for example, over this weekend, we had a lot of the testers focused on the PTR, and that is where we know that wipe is going to occur because of that.
Awesome. So I have, I got to talk about nodes, Steven, because that was the key feature that sold me to this game. Like, honestly, playing World of Warcraft for almost 17 years and doing that.
Here's actually a good question. You all somehow found out about Ashes of Creation. What was that thing for you? So for Vlados, it was nodes. For me, it was hearing Steven talking that he took inspiration from Lineage 2, because then, like, after listening to him for just a little bit, I realized that the guy moves in the right direction, let's put it that way. And what was it for you, if you remember?
That whole mouse wheel, I'm wanting something different, and the node system just in itself provides a completely different gameplay experience.
PvP
and
game?
Then when you guys actually went from 103 nodes to 85 nodes, and then
the 10k size servers with a dynamic world, yeah, actually server population is a big one. If that will be possible, it would be fucking amazing if they somehow manage to increase that number, because the more people on the server, the more, I don't know what's the right word for it, like more alive it feels, because it's no fun playing on like semi-dead New World servers with 200 people online when you really need to try hard to actually see another human somewhere out there, right, on the server. And especially in a game like Ashes, the map is huge, and there's like 100 nodes in total. So I think they can definitely accommodate more than 10,000 people. But once again, it's just a speculation. I don't know for a fact. Big quads on campus. First message in chat. Welcome to the gang. The class system. I was giving a link to the wiki and I fell in love. Makes sense.
Actually increase the world. Like one of the questions I had was regarding metropolises. Because y'all actually increased the world size, has the size of the metropolis been increased as well to account for the decrease in nodes, or are they going to be the same?
The intended size for metropolises hasn't changed. So
Okay.
to give you an idea,
I'm sure they're
the
still
way
huge.
yeah. No. They're very large, but or they're intended to be very large. But the node system functions on a part of the world terrain that we essentially utilize that's a plug, right?
Mhm.
And the reason why it's a plug in the terrain is because that we change aspects of that terrain as the node advances.
I started following after watching a video about upcoming MMOs by George Strive Hayes. Oh, I think I know who that is. Yeah, my first live stream was the season showcase. Gotcha.
And so that plug has a defined size, right? And
Okay.
essentially a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer space. So anything that's going to progress within the node proper is going to exist within that plug. Now, that's talking about city layout. There
Right.
are obviously components of a metropolis or of a city for that matter that can spawn off of the plug. Those can be small outposts, those can be little NPC havens, those can be hooks within narrative systems that live surrounding.
It's the guy with a cup and a suit. Are you referring to Steven? Wait, what?
The node as well.
Right.
So not everything has to live on the plug per se, but that space is not going to get larger for the node proper than that 1K by 1K space.
Okay. This next okay, I'm sorry. This next question, I had so many people like whisper me, and I had these questions submitted a long time ago, but I still have people asking me the same question. And it's a very straightforward question. When will we get a look at the rogue, Steven? People really want like, when is the rogue showcase, basically? Like, what?
I mean, like, honestly, I probably wouldn't ask this particular question because we know when the rogue will be. It's going to be in Alpha 2, and I'm not sure that Steven will... like, that's what I thought when I was watching the interview. That Steven will be able to say anything else in addition to that. So, but, I mean, if people ask that, then...
What's going on with the rogue?
I will say, obviously keeping in mind that as we moved into this testing phase, a few months ago and started bringing in the A1 testers to be a part of the pre-A2 testing, we had plans.
I'm also drawn to Ashes because of the planned NPC behavior. The fact that as a city upgrades, you can see the NPCs walk around and do chores, build, is amazing to me. Yeah, that's a good factor that contributes to immersion.
That were essentially to continue, development towards the rogue archetype. However, we had to stay agile and switch those plans over to focusing on what we are testing, as we said, test and react almost on a daily basis now, where we're...
Is like, if they have around 200 something people in the studio, is that a lot? Because I don't know. That's something that I never thought about. It's like, is that a lot? Maybe, like, what about other studios? Do they have like the same number of people, or they have maybe like, I don't know, 500 people, or maybe 1,000? Yes, for their size. Okay.
hot fixing.
Palworld had like 12 devs. Demos. I appreciate you following me. Hope you're having a good day and hope you're having a good time. Thank you.
And that the PC team is a part of that. So
Gotcha.
The development for the Rogue is currently been put on hold. We still intend to have it be released as part of the phases that we discussed prior, which I believe the Rogue is planned for phase 2.
Phase 2. Probably not at the launch of phase 2 though, correct?
Yeah, it'll probably, I would imagine it's going to be shortly after the start of phase 2.
Okay.
But that development will continue once we are out of this kind of hot fix, test and react phase.
Okay. Well, okay. Now that I've asked that question, I'll go back to my node stuff. So, basically, like superpowers. We haven't really got a lot of. We got like little, like, this is going to be a superpower for a tier 6 node here and there, but Are there going to be more superpowers to choose from when it comes to metropolises? Because I feel like having one option as a mayor, like you hit the tier 6 metropolis, and then, oh, well, we're just going to get this one perk. I think it would be really cool as a mayor if we actually had multiple options for superpowers. So that way, even 2 divine nodes or 2 economy nodes can actually have completely different sets.
I think that that is smaller to solid size, but definitely not that big for MMORPG studio. Interesting. I don't know. And speaking of this question, it feels a little bit like too niche in my opinion, because there's like what 5 metropolis nodes at most at the same time, and like whether they have like I don't know 1 or 2 some unique abilities. I don't know if that really matters, to be honest, but I mean, it's Vladus who is a host, so I think he can basically ask any question he wants. And if I recall correctly, he was collecting, like making a list of questions based on what his audience was asking about, right? So probably that's the question from his audience and not from him specifically, if I recall correctly.
So as a citizen, that'd be very appealing.
Yeah.
But I think it reached a good mass, and at some point there are diminishing returns on more people. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the superpower is meant to be additive, meaning that like if multiple metropolises are stood up with a particular node type, that that the superpower, which would have been just delegated to the vassal structure of one metropolis, now can incorporate an entirely second vassal structure or multiple vassal structures, which influences a majority of the world, right? So
compared to studios like ZOS or Blizzard, I think it is tiny. For an indie dev studio, they are quite sizable. Would anyone disagree? Like, I don't know, to be honest. That's the reason why I asked the question in the first place. Pockets Art. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're watching the interview with Steven that Vladus made. And yeah, that's what we are doing now.
So to keep that in mind, that's one thing. Second part of your question, which is like, these strong, powerful interactions that a metropolis can exert over the world, they're not just housed within the superpower ability, they're also housed within policies, they're also housed within the types of building types. Like all of these are node specializations that influence the world and players interact with the world.
I googled WoW and it said 500 and it seems wrong, so I'm not sure. Well, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I've seen it a couple of times already. Oh well, I didn't get a good listen during it because I was monitoring chat. Oh, you were a mod. Yeah, fair enough. Was there a lot of work for a moderator in that chat? Because I've seen a few people, wrote something inappropriate and their messages got removed. But was there a lot of work as a mod? There were some comments, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure that it makes sense for us to take what you just described and put that into the superpower system. I think that what you just described lives within the policy and within the relationships, the node.
I thought he would say mayoral abilities, but
relationship systems. Like there is room for those places to have powers that get exerted and are chosen amongst a number of different options for the leadership team of the node that you're talking about.
So that you just kind of said, I mean, you're almost making it sound like these policies actually have pretty good amount of power, because I think there's a lot of people that feel like it's going to be very cookie cutter, and I can we haven't seen it, so it's like we only can imply what's on paper. So
right.
Okay, so Blizzard has 13,000 employees compared to ZeniMax Online 250 for ESO. Oh, that's a lot. That's a pretty significant difference. But okay, I think comparing Ashes to ESO, I don't know which comparison is relevant, because I haven't played neither WoW or ESO. So leadership team of the node would be mayoral, so I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, we discussed what is the intent behind the policy system. The intent is that there are varying degrees of influence that are very powerful, depending on the policy that we're talking about, depending on the mandates that the mayors exert in order to utilize those policies.
No.
So yeah, I mean, that is a space where I feel we can service that desire of influence over the realm.
I mean, I would say one superpower, Steven, that would actually save a lot of time for the development team and would be so freaking cool for players.
Never played WoW. Too bad. Classic was a lot of fun. Solid OG MMO feel. Yeah, but World of Warcraft is 100% not a game for me for so many reasons. First of all, I don't like the graphics. Not because it's like, not up-to-date graphics. Not because of that. I just don't like the visual part of it. Secondly, I don't like the factions. Factions are like I agreed to play a faction game when it was New World, but I didn't enjoy that particular aspect of it because once again, it's like I prefer to choose my friends and enemies by myself. I don't want game to do that for me. So yeah.
Is to have the divine superpower to summon one of the 9 gods as like a 24-hour cooldown. How epic would that be to summon a god? Come on.
Summon
Come
a
on.
god.
Yes.
Can you summon a god? I mean,
I mean, you could ask. I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Yeah,
But...
you can, excuse me.
can you come and help us real quick in this castle siege?
Yeah, can you just send down your avatar for a moment, please? That'd be great.
Oh my god. Okay, so you guys just went over the whole starting experience, and believe me, that's something I am extremely passionate.
I mean, at the same time, I don't know, like, obviously as any content creator, I thought about, writing to Steven or to community manager asking like, hey, is there any chance I could possibly arrange an interview? And at the same time, I feel like there's a very thin line between the communication, like between like what Vlados is having right now with Steven. And I don't know if that's a good thing if the interview actually turns into interrogation when you're like, okay, question 1, answer, question 2, answer, question 3, answer, like a conveyor belt, right? So I'm not sure what's the correct approach for it. And, but who knows? I prefer factionless too. You end up hating dudes on your own faction way more. Exactly, yes. AOC is being made by a team the size of COS with mechanics and graphics that is closer to current generation games. Also true. And it's not only the mechanics and graphics, it's also like not about themselves, right? But it's also about their number. There's just a lot of different systems. So the scale of the of Ashes Creation as a game is pretty huge, let's put it that way.
About is the starting experience of an MMO is pivotal to people sustaining and just keeping and playing that MMO. So kind of a question I have for these node starting experiences is safe spaces. And I know that word could be taboo in the community, but I don't care. I'm going to say it. Will there be any kind of safeguards, at least in the initial cathedral or starting area, that people don't have to go and log in minute 1?
Oh yeah, I remember Narc was discussing it, like about the save zones for guards and stuff like that.
Second one, and engage in PvP. That people can actually like set up their UIs or, get their bearings first, click a couple of buttons. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Is there anything like that planned or even intended?
Well, again, the intention there is that we do protect players at the onset of their experience from immediately.
Lamau Carabears correct me up. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's not that big of a deal if they have some, guards or save zones or something like that, because it's like I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of the average person, right? And even though personally I couldn't care less whether there are save zones or not, because like I don't care, but I think implementing that it's still gonna be a net positive. But the angst over it cracks me up. Yeah, I feel you.
Potentially.
I think Steven will balance the starting experience fine. Lock being able to flag behind a level gate, so naturally players will spread away from start before PvP starts. But yeah, once again, you also need to, like, when there is a suggestion or like you're trying to understand how the system works, you also need to immediately try, like, imagine yourself in a position of a person who wants to take advantage or exploit that. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say the PvP is locked under level 10. Would that be possible to have a level 9 player to use caravans without an option of being attacked or something like that, right? Do you get the point that I'm trying to make? This is more of the visuals of Intrepid. If you get someone in level 1 getting ganked over and over, it's not a Care Bear issue IMO. Yeah, and it's also may kind of make them look bad, because, like, imagine Asmongold, streaming for 20,000 people. He logs in and everybody sees Asmongold, and there are people who are just killing him. Yeah, sure thing. Those people may end up being, suspended or banned for griefing or stream sniping, but still, it's not gonna look well. If AOC wasn't for me, I still want to support it in hopes that Intrepid will show everyone the way. I could easily see ESO made better with Intrepid net server meshing if ZOS decided to buy a license for it. Maybe. Kind of obvious that wouldn't be allowed to happen. Can I get ganked in the character creation? Yeah. It has not been stated as such, and there's fears within people's streams I watched that this will happen. Yeah, but I mean, there are fears about quite literally everything that you can imagine, and even about the things that are not, that do not exist and will not exist. People just make certain scenarios up in their head, and they're like, people are like, they tend to worry about things that have not happened yet and most likely will not happen, right? Or they just over exaggerate the scale of the problem. Asmongold viewers will decimate with negative comments when A2 starts. Exactly. And one of the reasons of that, like, not the main reason, but partly because Asmongold watches mostly Narc and he doesn't really follow the game closely, so he might not, get the full understanding of how everything actually is. And if you only watch Narc, you might have a little bit of, biased perception of the game. You may not understand, like, everything fully. Because the thing is, I watched a few, like, early Narc videos, and I compared them to current Narc videos. It feels like those are two completely separate people, completely different people. And surprisingly, I found, like, in my recommendations, I found a video that was like 1.5 hours long when Narc had actually some sort of podcast 1v1. I watched it, and once again, I saw the old Narc. So he was, like, a little bit, in his own style with a little bit of over exaggerations, etc. But it was him old, and that's the thing. So he was much calmer. He was much more respectful. He was not screaming every now and then, right? And I'm like, well, I don't watch every single Narcs video, but maybe I watched, like, maybe 2 or 3 dozens, right? But I mean, I was like, why don't you just act that way, like, now? It suits you, kind of, right? Because it's very comfortable to watch without all this, stuff that is usually happening. And I'm like, that would be a great approach, right? But I mean, old Narc was really good. I'm unable to watch him at all at this point. Kind of sad. I mean, it's ultimately his decision which path to choose. I think Narc is secretly bitter that he wasn't invited to be a pre-alpha tester, and it's affected his outlook. I can't, like, neither confirm or deny that, because I just don't know for a fact. I watch him in doses. His YouTube aren't so doomer, and his lives are funny because he fakes bans people, and it makes me laugh. He even did it to me. Got a chuckle out of it. I mean, yeah, like when it comes to streaming, he has like at least like I watched maybe like what, maybe like 10 streams, you know, and yeah, he is entertaining. He's engaged. He has a sense of humor, for sure. Like a little bit like specific one, but I understand that. And yeah, you just need to understand the vibe, I guess, and you know, so like the inside jokes, etc. And yeah, kind of like that. But God forbid if that is flanker, and if that's flanker talking about lineage, oh no 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 no, that's gonna be a fucking nuclear explosion. Hang on. He might ban. He might ban actual. He might ban actual asshole, but said I was banned, then never banned me. Okay, yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's a little bit of chaotic, right? But you need to kind of find a way to navigate and survive on his stream.
Having any type of griefing encounter or
Right.
PK system, whether or not that's surfaced through a level gate, whether or not that's surfaced through areas that have PvP suppression zones like the starting zone. I think that's still up for discussion. Right now, we have the ability to flag areas that are PvP available versus PvP not available. We're utilizing that obviously for the tropics and the desert biomes within the start of A2 on October 25th. You may see that in Lionhold and in the starting portal area, there is PvP suppressed there in order to give some level of protection.
Yeah, we didn't see that on the Lionhold preview, and there was no, like, they didn't mention it, so nobody knew about that, right?
That might get moved on to.
And once again, there was no reason to worry about that because we just didn't know that. And if had they mentioned it, nobody would say a word, I guess.
To a level predicated system.
So feedback, you want feedback on that if that feels good as a player?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But as it relates to nodes and those towns, they are populated with guards. The guards are very strong. We had a bug last week where guards weren't responding actively to corrupt players. We are addressing that this week, so that should be fixed. But
wait, what? Hang on.
Are very strong. We had a bug last week where guards weren't responding actively to.
Wait, we're responding, or I think we're not responding, right? I guess that makes sense because I don't know. Once again, I don't know whether they copied it from Lineage or maybe from other game because Lineage had that thing. There were guards. We're not responding. Yeah, okay. So there were guards in Lineage, and if you are a PK and you approach them, close enough, and they will attack you. And they were strong. Like, it was not impossible to kill them if you're like, a high level player, but it still, achieved its goal.
Corrupt players. We are addressing that this week, so that should be fixed. But those guards should be able to handle any potential griefers that might be participating at the node proper level.
Okay. I mean, this is I think a very straightforward question. So I think you can answer it pretty quickly. Can there be more than one metro in a castle's ZOI? I honestly think the answer is no.
No. There could be more than one metro in a castle ZOI. And so, first of all, castles don't have ZOIs. Yeah, castles don't have ZOIs. Castles have economic regions. A castle does exist within a ZOI, right?
That's insane.
And let me just make sure. Let me just make sure I'm accurately answering your question.
Right.
So we have two different region systems. We have the zone of influence, which is a static grid that lives atop the map.
Right.
Within each zone of influence, there is only one node. So I would re-ask your question in a different way.
Sorry, I'm like, I need to do something with those notification sounds. K Shabz, appreciate you following me. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much. Yeah, but those notifications are fucking loud. Whatever.
way, can there be multiple metropolises within a castle's economic region?
Right.
Because the economic region consists of multiple zones of influence and
Right.
many different nodes. And it's possible that the way nodes develop when they start advancing within the node hierarchy, that you could have a tale of two cities, twin cities, really that are kind of almost adjacent to each other, but have expanded in opposite directions. And as a result, they both become metropolises. So you could have two metropolises
Uh-huh.
in very close proximity. Now, what this does
That's
is
wild.
it creates an interesting game where some castles are worth more than other castles, right? And
That's
that
so
I
cool.
Yeah, it was the same way in Lineage 2. There were two castles that were like the top priority because in what one of them was basically the capital, and the second one was the castle where like in the town that belonged to that castle region, that town was a place where like 90% of trading was happening. So you if you own that castle, then you get a shit ton of money in taxes. Laughables, what's up, Blink? Okay, that's a new user. Hello. Not much. Can't complain.
think it,
That's awesome.
that is very cool, I think.
Wow.
So because castles exert tax pressure over nodes within their economic region. And if you had two metropolises within the economic region, boy, would that castle be making a shit ton of money.
No, right?
Yeah. But with the nodes, there's a chance for this to happen. However, there's a chance that it won't because you could potentially have two metros relatively nearby to each other. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. That's wow. I thought it was gonna be like, oh no, you're just not gonna, no, that was gonna be the end of that. But that's a really great answer. Holy crap. So going back to the starting experience, and this is another thing that I'm kind of worried about too, Steven. And with you guys utilizing and kind of inventing this dynamic gridding system that you guys, showcased a little while ago, I'm worried about starting experiences having a single point spawn. And
Yo, Flanker, hope you're also excited for in about 11 days. It's the month of jump scares. Hello, 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 hello. Glad to see you here. You seem to be among one of those rare people on the forum that can, put two words together and actually combine them and make sentences. And not only that, but those sentences also have some meaning behind them, not just, what usually people write in the forum.
And what I mean by that is whenever you create a character, everybody that makes a Kalar or whatever, they're all going to spawn on this single point. And World of Warcraft does this. A lot of MMOs do this. Are you guys going to try to take advantage potentially of the dynamic gridding system and having potentially like a grid? So instead of everybody spawning in one singular point where they can cause like a server crash, that you could
I'm not sure that it's going to be the case. Or will it? If I recall, the wiki says there are like 7 different starting zones, right? There are multiple, but not all of them are going to be present in Alpha 2. And when 3,000 people log in right away, oh boy.
actually dynamically spread it out a bit? Or will you guys potentially want to take advantage of sharding? I know that's also a taboo word, but
So is the question for launch or for Alpha 2? I mean, that applies to both. We'll see. We'll see.
I think having a better starting experience is more crucial than just, oh, we're going to have it all on one server.
Yeah.
At least at the starting
Well,
level.
Do you have any questions that you would have asked that Ladis didn't ask? Yes, but I would prefer to keep those questions to myself in case if I will ever have a chance to talk to Steven as well in future. But honestly, taking into account, like obviously when I was like, oh, it was possible to arrange an interview with Steven, it's cool, but then I was like, there are 3 interviews, at least 3 interviews that we know. So first one was yesterday, second one is today, and there's going to be another one in a week. And I'm like, do I want to do that? Like, do I even want to, send a message and ask if it's possible? Not really. Because if I would do that, like, if I would decide to, like, drop a line to a community manager, right? I would probably prefer to do that after the Alpha 2 begins. Let's put it that way. And yes, I have. Wait, nicest interviews today? No, today was Yokai. Uh, like guys from Envious, basically. So we're gonna. I will ask them if they're okay with me reacting to their interview, right? And we will watch it. I'll actually see. Maybe we'll watch it tomorrow because I need that seventh stream anyway to apply for like the affiliate. I'm not sub to you, Kai. I see.
I would break that question down a little bit, right? Because obviously the crux of your question is how do we preserve the starting experience? Because I mean that is basically the problem.
Since January this year, I have the impression the arguing and discussion have increased by a lot. I think it was a bit more relaxed before in the forum. Oh yeah, it's entirely possible. Yeah, I'm mostly sorry. I'm not really like looking at the YouTube stream. So if you want to like chat more actively, I just switch to this tab from time to time. If you want to chat more actively, just jump on the Twitch stream. I'm gonna drop a link once again because I usually watch at the Twitch chat. Why get their permission? Narc just streamed their stream today. I mean, because it's Narc. And this is me. That's the difference. I prefer to ask for permission unless I know that that person... Fucking hell, this fucking notification is killing me. Yeah, thank you for following, Ascalon. Yeah, because I know Narc probably wouldn't... Like, I used the parts from Narc's videos in one of the videos that I made before, but I knew that he wouldn't mind it because he previously kind of stated that, so... I mean, in any case, he can always just DM me and say, like, hey, please don't do that again, and it's gonna be fine. So, yeah, because previously I watched one of the old videos as well when he had some kind of drama with a person who, like, copyright... Like, basically reported his video or stream or something like that, and that led to him having a copyright strike, right? Which is probably not a very pleasant thing. So I really don't think that he would mind that. And I don't think he minds Asmongold reacting to him, right? Let's be honest. And of course, yeah, I'm not Asmongold, but it's kind of logical. But if I have a chance, I would probably ask, right? Yeah, I know the issue you're talking about. Yeah, I think the notification is queued. Please keep it. No, I'll keep it. I'll just need to figure out whether like to make it not that loud because it scares the shit out of me from time to time. You know.
Problem statement. Hey,
Yes.
my starting experience in other MMOs is inundated with connectivity issues, with lag, with rendering issues, with not being able
Absolutely.
to kill, number of spawns in my introductory quests, like, whatever.
Oh, I just remembered actually. I need to deal with two issues prior to Alpha 2, which is first of all, something is fucking wrong with my probably either OBS settings or I don't know what, because every time I turn on the OBS, I need to add my webcam source once again because it just fucking disappears and it just doesn't work. And I'm like, the hell is going on? Like, it's supposed to be working. Like, it worked before, but now it suddenly doesn't work, even though I didn't do anything. So I'm like, fucking OBS, right? And the second thing is I need to figure out how to, if I'm going to be talking to someone on Discord, probably it's going to be better if you won't hear them, right? Because who knows? Maybe they'll be telling some secret stuff. And I need to find a way how to, make it the way that I hear the Discord, but it can't be heard in the stream. Well, that sort of shit would have thrown me off so much. I like just coming back on OBS needing to be changed. Yeah, I don't even have the words to. I don't even have the words to describe how that pisses me off because if there is something that I hate is dealing with those fucking settings, technical, stuff because it's annoying. Like, why can't I just press one button and like that says everything is gonna be working? Why can't I press it so that it works? Like it's, but I'm just joking. Okay.
That is. Now we have some intended solutions that aren't yet all online.
Okay.
However, the way that we've architected our back end is in a way where we can custom define certain replication values within zones that we define. Now, one of those zones that's going to be obviously very important are the starting zones. And there are 4 intended starting zones for the map. And in order to satisfy the way that player movement throughout the world is.
But how many of those 4 zones will be available at launch of Alpha 2? That's the question. 1? 2? Or maybe, I don't know if that helps, if that's a possible solution, maybe just don't let all 3,000 people log in like right away, right? Maybe there should be some sort of like cooldown, like maybe a few, like 5 seconds before the next person can log in. But at the same time, it's gonna, like, there's gonna be queues most likely, and it's gonna make them longer. 3 in North America and 3 in Europe, I think. Yeah, that's the servers, but you know, we're talking about the starting zones. So, like, we'll see. Maybe he answers that.
Different and unique. We don't want a cookie cutter approach so that we simulate the same node progression across all
one starting
realms,
zone. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
We want it to be something that is unique per realm.
And welcome to the chat. That's your first message. Thinks it's the only reason. So I think there are 2 main cities intended for the launch of Alpha 2, but that information, I'm not sure where I got the impression. I don't know what you mean by cities, but there is going to be 5 nodes, if I recall correctly, and I think I do.
Realm. And
Right.
in order to achieve that, what we do is we bifurcate immediately the player movement, and we do that through certain narrative systems. We have multiple forward operating bases, 2 per starting location. So, for example, in the Riverlands, we have Samia's Hope, which is
like 2 starting areas. They talked about Ayla and another one, I thought, but I need to look into it. Yeah.
Isn't quite yet finished construction yet on, and we have Lionhold for the Kalar and the Veyloon.
Right.
So immediately we're starting to funnel players in different directions, predicated on race, on narrative systems, on kill quests. Like there are a number of things that start to bifurcate the player base. Now, when we talk about performance, as I said, we have certain approaches on the back end that we can custom define how many replicated clients there are within a region. We can custom define the respawn rate of certain spawners within that region that are predicated on like number of available monsters at a given time in order to alleviate some of those issues. But I don't think dynamic gridding would come into play to solve the problem you're describing. What dynamic grid?
I think the camp is split between 2 races. Yeah, probably, but we'll see how it goes. We'll find that out in 11 days.
Allows us to do is as that starting area is high in population, we can dial down the governance or the authority space that a particular grid worker or server worker has authority over, so that we're balancing the load of that high population across multiple workers. And then as those populations move out through the world, that grid starts to dynamically retract. So
Steven mentioned other race version of Start Zone, but didn't promise on start of Alpha 2 Phase 1. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's good that he described everything he described right now, but it's interesting, like very interesting to see how it's gonna work on this during the start of Alpha 2. And not only that, but also the dynamics. And what I mean by that is, if there's gonna be wipes, how will that experience, like, you know, first steps in the world of Verra, like how will that experience change over time?
That's the intended approach.
That is awesome. I mean, again, I think the fear for any player, right, is like you log in after you try to go into the enter world, and you just did like a 3-hour queue to then have a server crash because there's like 3,000 people in your starting area, right? I think that's the main fear for
and
for
let
a
me
lot
set
of people.
expectations. It is entirely possible that that's going to happen quite often on October.
It is going to happen. Steven, say it. It is going to. It's a precedent
So,
here.
so let me just say again, alpha, we are testing these things. We have our intended design. We have the way that we're trying to solve this. Now we
Right.
have to work out the kinks. We need to flesh it out. We need to address the bugs, and that's what this experience is part of doing.
Okay. Well, I want to go in and talk in a little bit about the bounty hunter system. This is a system that I also am really freaking excited about. I think the military node still needs a little bit more oomph comparatively to the other things. And I know this is something that's going to come probably in phase 3. But the bounty hunter system, has it undergone?
Also one of the somewhat niche questions, and I've seen, like, initially I thought, like, that it kind of makes sense to mostly ask questions about phase 1 because that's what gonna be, like, that's something that is the most relevant. But then I heard Nice saying, like, what's the point of asking those questions if we're gonna see it within, like, 2 weeks? And I was like, that kind of makes sense as well. So, I mean, yeah, that's a dilemma.
On any changes or any kind of things that we don't know of, or have y'all put the bounty system on hold as far as like iterative process or design?
I don't remember what he answered,
the
but I
bounty
guess
hunter
it's on
system
the
isn't
hold.
fully implemented yet.
Okay.
And generally the way we approach implementation is, we have our original design, we stick with that, and then we iterate once it's fully implemented and we're able to collect feedback and testing on it. So the bounty hunter system, as
Sorry guys, when I'm hiding my face, I'm actually yawning. I don't know why that happens because I woke up around like 5 p.m. So it's like maybe 8 hours ago. But it happens every single stream and I don't know why. Because I'm not like, I don't really want to sleep. I have energy. I don't know why it happens. And it's not like, the interview is not boring. We talk here. I have no idea how that works and why that's happening. But yeah, please forgive me for that.
as it has been described, is still the intent in implementation. Part of that system is up and part of that system has been stood up, but it isn't fully fleshed out or released yet.
Okay. And so my next question is kind of revolving death penalties. And this is something that I've, because on the wiki, there's like 7 things that happen to you, Steven, when you die. It
Yes.
seems very punishing to someone like me, right?
Super punishing. Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's another.
Oh, that's one of the things. So with the nodes only having 5 and Vassal not intended until phase 2, I would assume that a wipe must occur between phase 1 and phase 2. I would not be surprised if there's going to be multiple wipes throughout phase 1, to be honest. Yawning is also a byproduct of brain not having enough oxygen. It's quite normal. Maybe not just realize you're doing it because you're more self-aware because you're streaming. Maybe. Actually, all the windows are closed because it's getting colder here, autumn, stuff like that. But we're halfway there. Should I? Maybe there is a deficit of coffee in my body as well. Should I? I don't really want to make a coffee break, to be honest. I don't like making breaks during the stream, to be fair. So whatever.
Another core philosophy tenet, right? Risk versus reward.
being a masochist, is that weird?
No. It's
Talking a lot causes it. I have no idea. Like, honestly, I don't know what exactly triggers that. I know that if you see someone yawning, it triggers, like, it makes you do that. But nobody's doing that. I'm, like, alone.
It's when you fail, you feel failure.
Oh, well,
Because
yeah.
a lot of games,
Oh yeah, speaking of death penalties, I mentioned this today. Like, not on the stream, but in general, whatever. So I remember playing on Lineage 2 Classic, where reaching the level cap took approximately 2.5 to 3 years, right? And that's assuming you play from 8 to 12 hours a day, somewhere in that range. So it took a shit ton of time, and like thousands of hours. And if you're like a high level and you die, you lose 1% of XP. 1% may not seem like it's a lot, but it's fucking huge. It's so painful. And it's like it almost feels like a tragedy, because if you want to farm that like 1% on, like, I don't know, level 79 when there's like in total 80 levels, That's hours. That is hours without exaggeration. So people were, you know, they had a few contacts of the healers. Oh, hello, cat. He came to me and he touched me. Do you want to come here? Hang on. Let me catch him. Иди сюда. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So it was extremely punishing, and players had a few. Everybody knew a few healers who can revive you, because if you're getting revived by a healer, it's like 80%. You get 80% of XP back, and you can also find someone with who has a blessed scroll of resurrection. Obviously, pay him money and get revived and get your XP back. Because if you just click respawn, that's terrible. Okay, let's. Okay, can I click? Can I use the mouse?
You fail and you don't feel shit. It's like, well, oh, you failed. Okay, try again. Okay, here's your trophy.
I mean, that's true. And I kind of like again, I've been coming around a little bit towards the death penalties, because people always talk about the Zerg thing that happened in a lot of other games. But if you're constantly throwing yourself at a world boss, and you have so much, like you're gonna have to leave, like your whole group's gonna have to go. And I think that causes you not to be at the world boss for 5 hours, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that also leaves other groups a chance to get that. So, but the question I have about death penalties is quite simple. Like, so when you die, is it a timer? Like, so when you die and you get like a little bit of XP debt or whatever, is it like a 10-minute timer that has to wear out, or is it like a permanent thing until you have to do something? Like, I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, there was actually a funny thing, because when you were playing Lineage under those circumstances, right? And if you're playing in a group, you can be revived by a healer, right? By a cleric, let's put it that way. But if cleric dies, who will revive him, right? That's the problem. So sometimes they had like, if you have, I don't know, like level 58 and 50%, your cleric might have like level 58 and 20%, right? So yeah, and that's the reason, Kale, why we'll have 2 healers in our group, like with a very high chance. Triggers a prehistoric warning system in your brain. Yeah, maybe. Never played Lineage, sadly. I hear nice stories about it. I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of too late. It's very, like, modern Lineage is absolute trash. Like basically everything after 2010, all patches are fucking trash. And getting into an older, like, server with an older patch, there's plenty of, private servers. It may be a bit of, like, kind of challenging, because you're going to be dealing with people who play this game for like 15 years. And like the number of newbies coming to the game is like not very high. So it may be really, but it would probably be the same as I would start playing WoW right now, and I never played it, and I have like little to no idea what this game is all about. Right? If he dies, it's a skill issue. Yep. There's like, dying is prohibited in our group.
So there are 3 primary consequences.
But bringing death is not.
For dying.
Okay.
Right, and obviously the way you die can influence the balance of those 3 consequences. First and foremost is you have a death debuff. That lasts for, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how often you've died.
Okay.
That death debuff is going to have some stat dampening effects. It's going to influence you negatively. The second thing that you have that happens to you is you acquire experience debt. Right? And experience debt is something that lives on your progression tracker, right? This is experience debt that you need to go and gain experience in order to recover.
Okay.
Now, experience debt, the more you accumulate it, the more impact it has, stat dampening, on your efficacy in battle. And this is efficacy in battle with PvP or PvE. It doesn't matter. Now, the ceiling for that is if you accrue 100% experience debt within a level, you're going to have to work off that 100% experience debt, and you will have 20%, roughly 20% max ceiling like how much your efficacy is.
Hang on a second. My fucking lamp died. Why is it not working? Like, hello? Okay, now they're not symmetrical. Hang on. How do I change it? Like, hello? Is it better? Hang on. That's kind of nice. I think that kind of works. Yeah, we can, we can do disco, but no, I'm gonna have an what? How do I say that? Like epileptic attack or epilepsy or something like that. I guess that's the correct word for it. Lineage 2 veteran here over decade ago though. I remember once had all best castles. We had war basically all rival guilds because of XP loss. Yeah, if I recall correctly, epileptic. Okay, yeah, cool. If I recall, seizure. Yeah. If I recall correctly, in the early patches of Lineage 2, if you participated in a castle siege when there's a PvP zone, right? You were still losing XP and suffering the full fucking death penalty. So you could like so sieges were on a 2-week cooldown. You could grind for 2 weeks, get some XP throughout those 2 weeks and lose fucking half of it just during the siege because it was so punishing. But yeah, it was fun anyway. And sometimes actually that may be the case in Ashes as well. Hang on. No. That's not what I meant. So, what I'm trying to say is it may be like another pressure factor that you can put on your enemy, right? Yeah, I know that Sieges and Ashes will be not like that. Yeah, that's not the point. So, in the open world PvP, if you're like in, I don't know, Tower of Carfin or any other POI, and you are kind of, fighting for the spot, some people may be stronger than you, like a group, right? But you can just harass them, not like harass them, but force them to leave because they are afraid to lose XP and you don't. That's the point. And that may be a viable strategy. So that's how you can also, that's another way to, achieve what you want to achieve.
Curved.
Kale, if I ever hear you telling me like something like, "Oh my god, I died, I lost 2% of XP, no," no. Never. We don't care about XP. XP is something that we can grind without any problems. But winning the fight or winning the battle, that's important.
Okay.
The third thing that happens on death is that you drop your parts of your material inventory, right? A percentage of your material inventory. Now, you could drop potentially completed items if you're corrupt when you die, right?
Okay.
So it depends kind of the state in which you're dying. If you are flagged when you die.
I like this again. Someone was complaining about, FOMO, keys are FOMO, packs are FOMO, cosmetics is FOMO. And I'm like, I just comprehend that to be honest, like completely. We live in a very strange time when suddenly being responsible for the actions you take and the words you say is like no longer mandatory. You can just say, "Oh, I bought Alpha 2 pack because they used FOMO on me and I still blame them." Like, huh? What kind of logic is that? Is that a logic of a grown-up adult? I mean, I just can't say that. Well, yeah, it was the guys who had a minor issue and almost timed his comments out. That's literally my Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, actually, that was your response. I didn't even notice that. So, no, I mean, it varies from person to person, obviously. You can't generalize, but I don't like this trend. This is a terrible trend. I mean, when I was growing up, if I ever say something like this, it would be like people would look at me like like fucking weirdo, right? Because I was raised always knowing that no matter what is happening, no matter what the circumstances are, you're always responsible for your words and actions, right? It's like I used this metaphor before, but it's like it's the same as being an alcoholic and blaming the stores for selling the alcohol. I mean, whose fault is that? Obviously, that's a little bit, a kind of a different issue because this is like a disease and it needs, some professional help. But in all other cases, how does it even work? Hang on. I actually have something for you. I hope I'll. I have something for you. Just 1 second. Specifically about this. Where do I have it saved? Wait, I think I know where I got it saved. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. And this is just so... There we go. Just look at this. $120 to be an alpha tester. Bro, that's such a bad argument. People aren't forced to gamble their life savings, and yet they do. Do you blame them or the greedy casino? The moment I read that, I'm like... I kind of feel sorry for these people, like genuinely. I don't really, use the word empathy that that often, but I feel sorry for the circumstances that person has been through that made him believe that this is the proper way to interact with the objective reality. Like, no accountability, no responsibility whatsoever. And I'm like, kind of sucks to be you, I guess. Like, meaning no offense, just stating a fact, right? Like, how do you leave that way? I mean, I don't get it. I probably will never be able to understand that. So, will be interesting how AOC handles mass PvP server wise and how hard it will be for PC. Yep, that's also interesting. But that's what Alpha 2 is for. So my answer on it is in your line of view as well. I've addressed the FOMO comment as well. If you don't want to invest, you're free to. Exactly, but if it ever worked, if just explaining something to people, something not that difficult, if it ever worked, because, like, once again, I mentioned this on the beginning, I'm gonna have a video like that I will edit soon, maybe like tomorrow or within 1-2 days, basically, with that kind of cringe and extremely like negative IQ comments that I've collected from TikTok, because it just blows my mind. Like, how? Like, how is it possible? And yeah, people just don't understand. And one of those comments was the guy who said, like, when he said, like, basically wrote the same thing, I was like, brother, is there anybody who's holding you at gunpoint? Just let me know. I'll help you with that, right? And he said, like, well, there is no other option, which means that they are forcing me to do that. I'm like, huh? What? We're in a culture where having kids is a... Yeah. Yeah, he never responded to the comment and made another similar comment later down the road. People can't use basic logic. It's not even that. I'm going to show that in the video as well, so consider this as a small spoiler, right? There are people... So there's a guy who said, like, oh, subscription in Ashes is bad. Throne and Liberty is better because it's free to play, right? And if he wrote that, it's fine. Like, no big deal. But he wrote it fucking 10 times under, like, he literally spams it. Like, I'm like, what do you want? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? Like, if you like Throne and Liberty, go play and Throne and Liberty, right? When I was playing Lineage, I haven't spent a single second on some World of Warcraft community saying that their game is bad, or it's unfair, or subscription sucks. Why would I do that? Like, it's just like I have no words to describe it. It's fucking scary that people act that way. Like, that's creepy that people, are like that. Is the greedy casino is yeah, yes. I think him writing on forums about AOC instead of playing Throne speaks for. Yeah, exactly. Like, out of all the things you could possibly do in life right now, I don't know, meeting a girl, eating something or cooking something, saying I love you to your mom or something like that. Out of all those things, you prioritized writing some nonsense about the game that apparently you're not going to play. What the fuck is that?
If you're participating in PvP, you will suffer less consequences across the board for those three things.
Gotcha.
So it's
Evening, how far into the video are you? We're like halfway there. Yeah, so, but I'll upload the recording on YouTube. So you'll be able to kind of watch it from the beginning if you missed something. And yeah, boys, whoever is watching this on YouTube, I mostly interact with the chat on Twitch. So if you want to, engage in a discussion, feel free to come here. And yeah, it's cool out here. But if you feel comfortable on YouTube, then it's perfectly fine.
a way to encourage players to fight back, essentially, to engage in the PvP. Now, if you don't fight back, obviously, and we're talking about flagging system. Now, if you're in an opt-in PvP event,
and yeah, in the video that I mentioned that I'm about to make sure to watch it till the end, because what you will see in the end, it's like all this that we just discussed is nothing compared to what you will see in the end, because that's like cherry on the top. It's like fucking amazing.
And you are experiencing much less on the experience debt, if any at all.
Right.
But you are still experiencing dropped resources and the death penalty debuff.
Good luck explaining 2 + 2 is 4 to such people. Yeah, exactly.
So why do you hate PvEers?
I think it is an attempt to obtain validation. People hate being told that they are wrong, but love telling everyone else they are wrong. Like, it's not. It's attention seeking, validation seeking, and people are now like, what's the funny thing about social media? Previously, like, I don't know, like 30 years ago, right? It was much more complicated when it comes to, finding like-minded people, because you actually had to, meet them, spend time with them, etc. Now it's extremely easy. And all those, creepy bastards, they just, flock to each other, and they form that, small communities that grow up, and eventually they become a vocal minority. They start with that, and they eventually become a vocal, like, majority, maybe even, right? But it's just, everyone is now looking for a bubble or, an echo chamber, or just wants to become a part of a collective hive mind. Because when you're alone, that's one thing, you're just yourself. But when you're in a, with your pack, that's a different story. Your response to me in the Vlad chat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's like, it's, I don't like, once again, I'm not really good at understanding what is politically correct to say and what is not, because we don't really, think about it here. But a good metaphor, it may sound a bit offensive, but I don't really care. It's a mentality of a stray dog. Why? Because if stray dog is alone, it's usually, like, kind of nice, looking for food, etc., right? Kind. But when there is a pack of stray dogs, they sometimes become very aggressive, and they may attack you, they may bark at you, I think that's a relatively... What's the word for it? What's the word that I'm looking for? Relatively accurate analogy, let's put it that way. A person can be intelligent, people can be incredibly dumb. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Stereotype. Maybe. And once again, it's not me trying to, get some sort of like. I sound so negative, but I don't say it for the hell of it. It's not to start sounding. It's not to start sounding relevant or to prove my intelligence. Boom, that's the lines. But it's not me trying to be arrogant or say like, "Hey, I'm smarter than everybody else." It's not me being smarter. It's me being just a little bit less dumber. That's it. It doesn't mean that I'm a smart person by any means. So yeah, because there's plenty of people who are smarter than me and or just have more expertise or knowledge in some, industry or field. So but what I think, it's important to draw a line between the things that you know and things you don't know. And that's one of the things that I learned, and I'm really glad that I learned it at some point in my life. And that's the kind of the mentality that I adopted.
Like, why do you have to make it so hard for PvEers? Like, I mean, I get, but I coming from a stance of a PvEer myself. I've dabbled in PvP and other MMOs. Like,
Sure.
is it because you want the feeling of PvE to actually have, like, you want it to matter? Because
Well, here,
again,
let
like,
me ask this question. In what way do you feel that PvEers are hated?
there's more things.
Uh okay, Vlados is still a World of Warcraft player. I think that's where he's coming from. That may be affecting his phrasing, I guess, in this particular case, but
For PvPers to do than PvE.
Phantom X asks, where is Diggs for this?
In what way?
Wait, what?
There's more things for PvPers to do than PvE.
Is it? Is there more things to do? I mean, I don't know whether it's more PvE or PvP content, but I think there's plenty of both, no? Like, plenty of both types of content? Like, no? When it comes to PvE, you have just mobs, dungeons, elite zones, events. PvE, like, oh, I'm sorry, not PvE. Like, crafting, gathering. Does that count as PvE, or it's just like some other activity? Is it technically PvE content or not? Because it kind of sounds like it's not. But anyway, yeah, and when it comes to PvP, you have like node wars, castle sieges, caravans, open world PvP, but you won't be doing that like every day. Castle sieges are like what, once per month, right? Node wars are not going to happen every day. Even caravans will not probably happen every day. It's basically mostly open world PvP. I mean, technically yes, but only some parts of it. Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't really say that, to be honest. And once again, it's gonna be the same maybe ratio as in Lineage, because people call Lineage a PvP game, which is not, because 90 to 95% of your time you spend grinding mobs. And it may be the same in Ashes as well. Maybe that's not going to be 90%, but 80 or something like that, because there's plenty of other stuff to do, like, crafting, gathering, etc. But I don't know.
In what way?
Well, there's like for dungeons, like there's like instance content, right? We don't know if those instance content is going to be repeatable, right? There's not instance.
Some of those instance content are PvP as well. Some are PvE, right?
Okay.
That's the intent behind the system. There's going to be an equitable divide because we're PvX, right?
Right.
But is it because I mean,
Caravans will be very numerous, I think, and I think they will be overwhelming in number to the point that most caravans won't be attacked, but chosen by PvPers and which caravans are worth attacking. That's true. The last part is true. Speaking of numerous, I'm not sure. I mean, it's not that I disagree. I just don't know, to be honest. We don't really have that much information. Maybe it will be very lucrative and easy to attack caravans, and people will try it, once, twice, and they will realize that it's like, okay, it's not that easy. and they will be like, okay, I'm gonna use a mule or just, carry stuff in the backpack. It's gonna be much safer, because if you use mule, it counts as a like pet, right? Not the pet, but like a summon. Like not a summon. What's the word for it? It's neither a mount nor a pet, technically. Something in between, right? So the thing is, if you kill it, then you will go and you will become PK Luffables. Thank you for following. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day. So yeah, maybe it will be safer to use mules, especially if you're like a solo player, for example, right? Yeah, it doesn't have the capacity of a caravan, but it doesn't really have that. Like, it significantly reduces the risk. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense for it to be always skewed to PvE side and incentive. This notification. Big Mike, same applies to you. Thank you so much for following. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a great day, and I hope to see you in chat as well. Don't be shy, And incentivizing PvP, aka killing people on PvE spots. Yeah. I'll be the way for gatherers to get their materials to the processors, and processors get their stuff to crafters. You'll want to protect caravans within your node and attack caravans in the opponent's node to encourage your own economy. Well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Sounds logical.
To get to the crux of the question, when you say, why do you hate PvEers, what is it about the death penalties that I talked about that you or the audience feels is specifically against PvEers?
I mean, there's a death penalty. I hope you remove this, Steven, but there was one where
the death penalty is equitable, right? Like,
right.
If you're going to experience PvE content.
This is my mindset, but I haven't played it yet, based purely on what I've. Yeah. That's the thing. We don't really know everything. And that's why today's interview with Envious was interesting, because they were talking about stuff that was under NDA. So I hope we'll be able to watch that as well.
Content, and that PvE content is difficult, or it's a puzzle, or you use the wrong ability at the wrong time, or you didn't focus the right target, or you didn't effectively heal your party. Like, those are mistakes that deserve a failure response.
I still want to know more about negative reputation related to caravans and enemy of the state. Well, in 11 days you'll find out, I guess. And yeah, and Steven, like, I perfectly understand the point that Steven is trying to make. If you make a mistake, there are consequences in this game. And usually there are consequences in life as well. Somehow we don't really complain about the consequences IRL, but we complain about them in game, right? So I was like, I don't know, like, I have absolutely zero problems with taking a death penalty, no matter what that is, if I made a mistake and died from mobs, right? Or if I made a mistake and died in PvP. I mean, it's my problem, so I don't get it.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, yeah, and failure shouldn't always be fun. It's the bite of failure that makes you motivated to improve.
I'm glad Steven put Lattice in his place when he was talking about PvP and the death penalty. I mean, I probably wouldn't phrase it that way. It was still a civil and a well-mannered discussion. But I mean, yeah, it's people like with MMOs in their current state, people kind of forgot that making a mistake may sometimes lead to negative consequences. So if that's not your piece of cake, then I mean, there's plenty of games that don't have that. So just choose the game for which you are a target audience, right? I think pressing the wrong button at the wrong time is a weak argument there, but his point makes sense. I mean, technically it's true. So yeah, I could go into a rival node to cut down as many trees as possible so I can get load them into a ship. Or if I'm facing an enemy naval fleet, I would love to use that lumber to create fire ships to intentionally crash into enemy ships to rub insult into injury. I mean, Sounds like an idea, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. Yukai's stream with Steven is up on his own Twitch channel. Yeah, but I haven't asked them if it's okay to react, so I guess I'll drop them a line first. It's technically true, but only in a super minority of cases. That's why I say it's weak. Yeah, I get it. It's kind of a niche argument, let's put it that way, that doesn't apply to the majority of situations.
Makes you motivated to want to achieve a thing, right?
I
Like
mean,
if
that's-
it was easy, then why would you do it?
No, for sure. I mean, there's
Exactly.
that death penalty where I think it decreases drop rate by mobs. I hope y'all remove that because that's trash. Like, I don't like that. Like, I don't
Interesting.
mind the other ones, the stat dampening, the XP debt, and I think XP debt is still like, at least the people I talk to are super divided. They're like, they don't know
Right.
how that's going to feel or that's going to be.
Yeah, and the question is, those people who are not happy about that, how many of them are like have actually played a game with the XP debt? That's the first thing. And secondly, well, that's actually not really relevant at all. Yeah. But the thing is, I understand the psychology behind that because I've read about an experiment that was conducted. So the idea of the experiment was the following. So there were two groups of kids, right? And they had like a Lego, like I don't know what's the word for it, like a toy when you have the pieces and you build something out of those pieces, right? So the first group was getting a reward for every Lego that they assemble, basically. So you assemble one of them, that is being taken from you, you get another one, and you continue like doing the second one, the third one, etc. And they were getting a reward after every single one of them. So like, I don't know, like let's say $5 or like $10, right? And the reward, like let's say it's $10, and the reward decreased every single time they assemble the next Lego, right? So you got the $10 for the first one, $9.50 for the second one, $9 for the third one, etc., etc., etc. That was the first group. The second group was doing the very same thing, but there was a slight, like a small change. So they assembled the Lego, right? But instead of taking it away from them and giving them a new one, the experimentator disassembled it in front of them, basically ruining everything that they've built, and they had to start doing that again. And they were getting the same rewards, and the goal of experiment is to see which group will stop first. And obviously, the group that had, like, those kids that saw that the Lego that they assembled got destroyed in front of their eyes, like a minute after they assembled it, they stopped first, despite the fact that the rewards were the same. So which conclusion can you make out of that? That people hate seeing their results kind of, destroyed or taken away from them and doing the same thing over and over again, which is a good description of XP debt, because you already spent, I don't know, like 20 minutes to grind those 2% of XP, then you die, which is unfortunate, and now you have to spend those 20 minutes again. And that mentally hurts us, like hurts people. So that's the nature of this phenomenon, even though like ordinary death penalty is not that big, like 2%, right? Who really cares about that? Like from 2 to 3. That's what triggers the unsatisfaction with that. So what are you guys talking about here, huh? I like the... Wait, what? Okay. Asman reacted to me Wait, what? Oh yeah, people have to make friends in game unbearable. Why can't I play this MMO by myself? That's so fucking true. I have 5k hours in PoE. XP loss is a thing I'm very familiar with. 10% each time. Oh yeah. Combination of XP debt with fighting back in open world PvP, even if you're not, if someone opens, yeah, exactly. So that's like a, there's a, like, there's several differences between dying in PvE and in PvP. So when you get killed by a mob, that's unfortunate, you die, right? You gotta like XP that. That's also unfortunate. And we just like spoke about it. But when you die during PvP, there is an extra factor. So first of all, you die and you get a death penalty. Secondly, you get killed. That's unfortunate. And the third thing is not only you die to some, like, you're not dying to some AI mob, right? It's someone who killed you. So that's a third factor. So, people don't mind playing hardcore games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, and they don't mind trying to kill a boss for like 50 times, and maybe on like 51st they end up killing him, and that's okay. But so losing to AI is not a problem because they know that the game is built to, like, the games are built to be beaten. So there's a 100% a way to beat that boss. They just need to, try something harder, like think harder or try something new, etc. But when it comes to PvP, there are no such guarantees. You may be in a situation where you just can't fight back. You can't win. And that's the first thing. And the second thing, it's an ego thing. Because dying to a mob is like whatever, right? Well, shit happens. But when someone kills you in PvP, that may be unpleasant for your ego because it's often means that someone played better than you, right? So that's another factor. I had a hardcore kill who died level 30. I was going through PvP flowing challenge. And to PvP it hurts more. Well, you see, that's more of an exception, I guess, but exceptions do not disprove the rule. There needs to be multiple means of grinding off XP debt, period. I mean, you can accumulate XP in different ways, I suppose, if that's what you're talking about.
But yeah, that's kind of the thing that I wanted to just ask. And that wasn't even a question. That was just something I just...
No, for sure. Yeah, no, I love it. I love that conversation point because, and this, again, it's talking to our core audience. Who is our core audience? Because the PvE players that don't want to exhibit this bite of failure, we might not be the game for you. The same as...
Exactly. And when people say like, oh, this is not a good enough argument because it's like, simple. Well, it is it's the truth. Like, if you don't like FPS shooters, you don't go and play Counter-Strike. If you don't like, I don't know, like strategies, you don't play strategies, right? What's the problem with that? There's no big deal that this game may not necessarily be for you, and you may not be the target audience, but you still have options, and the ultimate decision is yours. You can either give it a try, or you can just choose another game. But there's no, like, two viable options. But complaining is not a viable option. It never is.
Is true for the PvP players. If you can just continually respawn and go back to battle and, no problem as a result of failure.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the problems that New World had, in my opinion, because you can just respawn at camp and boom, you're ready to go. No consequences. You can just respawn like 50 meters away from the fight and then get back to the fight, which is like, I think that's not the way how it is supposed to be.
Then we might not be the game for you. The idea is that when you achieve a thing, you can feel proud in the achievement because you know what not achieving that would have resulted in.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't have been good. Right. And that is something that I think a lot of people aspire to be challenged by. There is a certain group of people that don't give a shit about challenge.
Right? Exactly. And if you don't give a shit about challenge, that may be a game that is not for you.
Right? That just want to go, just have an experience. And that's cool. There's a lot of games out there for them, but that's not our game.
All right. Well,
Based.
so the whole, let me ask this question real quick before I go into another one. The 20% instanced content, because I know you kind of mentioned that it was going to be like a one-time story thing for the PvE side. I just find that to be like, why can't you create something that's more repeatable for people to go in and challenge themselves in just PvE without having to deal with PvP attached to it? Because there's people that, like, when you go into arena, right, and you're doing a PvP, you don't have to simultaneously do PvE while you're doing arena, right?
Sure.
Like, so it's like, I think there just wants to be a bone thrown to the PvEers that want to just focus on PvE without having
repeatable PvE content.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
in PvP, like in Node Siege, death penalties will suck, but people will be too desperate to care. If I recall correctly, you either don't have death penalties in opt-in PvP events, like, caravans and stuff like that, or they're like reduced. But if I recall correctly, you don't even have them.
Look, I think there are going to be repeatable PvE content. I think that there is. I think that there's a lot of repeatable PvE content.
Fucking hell. Old Hot Flame 82, thank you so much for following. You scared the shit out of me. You don't have any in objective PvP? What? Can you please clarify what you mean?
And that's in the open world, so it is subject to PvX. We have events, right? Those events will recur, that people can go participate in. But again, it's still under the threat of bad actors, because one of our core designs, which you asked earlier about, what are the things that you're not going to change? Well, PvX is one of those things.
Right.
And what PvX means is that when you're trying to complete PvE content, or when you're trying to complete PvP content, the adverse can occur, meaning the PvE or the PvP content. That is something that is calculated into the challenge rating, right? And the challenge rating is what we define as part of a particular encounter, right? And that challenge.
Yeah, just a quick stop. Whoever just joined, I see that we have more people here. First of all, welcome. I hope you have a great day. And yeah, don't be shy. Feel free to ask your questions in chat. Sorry, I misunderstood. You don't have any XP penalty in objective PvP, but I think stat loss for some time. Yeah. Oh. Drash83, thank you for following. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was trying to make. If I recall correctly, you won't have XP penalty.
Rating can be something that is PvP driven or PvE driven. If you're talking about repeatable content that is within, that is siloed within instance.
My cat is implying that it's the time for me to feed him. But soon, very soon.
I think there's going to be repeatable PvE content that is exclusive of PvP. That's okay. So there will just be PvE, because we also have arena systems that are instanced, which are just focused around PvP.
Exactly.
So that is in the spread there that we've talked about in the past, is like an 80-20 spread. 80% being open world driven, 20% being instance driven. And that's where we want to preserve certain story elements, right? That's where we want to define very curated number of participants, super rigid challenges.
That is incredibly suspicious. What exactly? Statement for Steven? Which one? Which one?
That players have to solve, right? And so I think that.
Well, this one about instanced PvE content. What about it? Megolian TV, thank you for following. Appreciate your support. As if no, I don't think he made it on the spot, because I've read that in Wiki about 20% of the content will be instanced and 80% will be open world. In the Freehold stream, they had concept art of a gladiator-looking arena on the Freehold. There's an old video with arenas, actually, like a preview. It's like Alpha 1 or something. I don't know if that's still relevant, but you might get an impression. It's on their YouTube channel. That one's consistent. What do you mean?
That is valid.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, I think, you know, and I've talked to so many staunch PvPers, staunch PvEers, and there's always been this kind of debate where, you know, the PvPers want the game to be
just the way he waited with his answer. I haven't noticed it, to be honest, but like my bullshit detectors did not get triggered, you know.
more PvP based, and there's the PvEers
Sure.
that want it to be more PvE based. And I think keeping it, as long as there's a balance, I think that's ultimately, because I'm not playing the game, I don't know, right? I'm just speaking just off of what I know.
And you just described what the challenge is. The challenge is literally keeping a balance.
Yeah.
I think they'll have a services building where you can host PvP on your freehold through, though, which would be awesome with a tavern. Like drunk fights after having a party in the tavern. That would be quite of a show. Sorry, the statement about the instance content, he's been consistent and the reasons are different. Yeah. I heard that as well about like that 80-20 split. So I don't think that anything has changed.
Because that is the problem of PvX.
And Kale, I mean, once again, you know, talking on camera is not that easy, like, right? And also he may be, you know, I'm not sure that he might remember all the details about the, even though it's like his games, he might not still like remember everything, like every piece of the, every tiny piece, every tiny detail about the game.
Is that you are trying to find the middle ground between two very disparate communities.
Yeah.
However, here's the gamble. Here's the gamble when you talk about Ashes of Creation. The gamble is that there is actually a large community which is comfortable with those two disparate ideas existing together.
Yeah.
And that's what PvX is.
Right. No, I get you. I mean,
and it also gives you an option. So if you prefer like PvP, you will have plenty of opportunities to focus more on that part of the game. If you prefer PvE, you'll be able to focus on that. So it's like having a choice, but at the same time, you will still have to do a little like PvE as a PvP player and sometimes PvP as a PvE player. So you can't like, you know, just be 100% PvE or PvP. So, but I guess that's what some people want. And to all those people, I would reply, there are games out there that will meet your requirements, but it's not going to be Ashes.
I get it. Like I'm trying to advocate for the people that have talked to me about this. Like ask Steven this and ask Steven that. You know.
I think the thing that PvE people are asking, right, is repeatable PvP instance dungeons, and they're wanting decent gear to come from those, which is what I feel Vlad's comment is directed at. And I think because of this, Steven will choose how to answer it best, which might be why he delayed. Oh, maybe, yeah. But once again, there is. I was about to say that there are many people who come from WoW, and that's what they got used to, right? Based on their past, probably many years of experience. But, you know, games are different. By the way, I'm super happy in how they are doing it. It's just weird phrasing from him. Huge fan. Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is. But next question. So classes. I'm a huge class guy. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the 64 class system, but I digress. Now, augment system. People, we've discussed this, and I know that's not going to go online until phase 3.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason why personally I probably wouldn't even ask about it, because they themselves might not even know everything. Obviously, they know the general logic behind it, but I'm not sure they'll be able to give like a lot of insights. And even if they do, I mean, it's still 6 months away, so I probably, like, personally, once again, I'm not, saying that it's a bad question, but personally, I probably wouldn't ask that.
But I think the word flavor has been used a lot, and people want more than flavor. And I know this game has to release soon.
Fuck, it's like 11 days till alpha. I need to switch. I will need to switch soon to another mouse because I'm using an ordinary mouse with 2 side buttons, but I got this one. Hang on, will I be able to show it? Or it's the, yeah, so I got this one with 12 side buttons for the, you see, for Ashes specifically. But it's like, I need to get used to the grip because it has a different shape a little bit, and I need to, to get used to it. So it's good that I remembered about it right now. Corsair, yeah, I believe. Yeah, it's the one. I'll be using my gaming mouse for healing. Yeah.
And when you're talking about completely transformed abilities, I don't mind if that comes later, because I think we need to have like at least a base of what these abilities in the augment system needs to do.
Oh yeah, I just noticed we got 100 followers already on the channel. Small step for a man, but a huge step for humanity. I appreciate everyone who followed me. You are the first, among the first, when I'm just starting. And, starting any social media like YouTube channel, Twitch channel, TikTok, anything, it's no easy task. And I really appreciate your guys' support for, I appreciate you hanging out with me when I was only starting, Your pick, hardcore, you're number 102. Thank you so much. Your patience on that podcast earned you the follow. Remember me when you're pulling 40k streams. I mean, there were like no other options on that podcast because, otherwise it would just turn into, arguing and screaming at each other. That's not the way I prefer to talk. And oftentimes you could have noticed that when I was talking and I was interrupted, I would just immediately stop talking because if I'm talking, I prefer to be the only person who is talking because I don't like talking when there are, many people. That's why when I participate in office hours, I always try to be the last person speaking, because when the conversation begins, everyone is starting, interrupting each other, this, and this, because everybody wants to share his opinion first or disagree with someone. And I'm like, guys, you do you. I'll wait till it's over, and then I will speak when everybody's actually listening. Lol, wait, which podcast? It's the podcast with Theory Forge. It's on YouTube channel. Yeah, guys, actually, if you're struggling and you desperately need another dose of Ashes of Creation content, I could help you with that. I have a YouTube channel. You can scroll down and there's a Twitch panel with a YouTube link. You can go ahead and give me a follow if you want to, because I'm kind of struggling with subscribers. Like, to get monetized on YouTube, you need 1k subs and 4,000 hours of watch time. And I'm kind of doing good on watch time, but it's the subscribers that I'm lacking. So if you can give me a follow, I would super appreciate that. That would be awesome. Theory Forge podcast, yeah. I think people vastly underestimate how much even flavor changes could affect a class with how the status system synergies and Ashes. Yeah. I mentioned that on one of the previous streams as well, because when you just take a look at all those static effects and you see that different classes have how they synergize and how different classes can apply, different effects to the opponents, and you're like, how the fuck do I even build a strategy? Likarian, thank you for following. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a fucking great day, and I hope to see you here on October 25th, when we're gonna be desperately logging in and struggling in the queues. So yeah, and I don't know what's the right way to even test it, to understand which class. Like, if you have a group, how do you choose your group composition, which classes, based on the synergy of the skills? I was like, maybe I should upload it to AI and ask him for suggestions, etc. But I don't know, because there's just a shit ton of work to do when it comes to that, and it takes a lot of time and brain power.
But if there's something that comes down the road with patches or expansions that you actually want to make these abilities even more transformative, I'm cool with that. But I guess for you to answer, when it comes to the augment system, is it going to be flavor when it comes to the ability change? Like, oh, this frostbolt is now like a fireball.
So Jamie tried to do that, and AI didn't do. Oh wait, is that what he was doing yesterday? Because yesterday, like, or maybe in past 1-2 days, because I just came to say hi on his stream and then left. Jamie even used my notes for it, and it didn't help them. Yeah, but maybe there's a way to somehow deal with that. I can share the document I have. I mean, yeah, if you don't mind sharing it. Like, there's a Discord server below. Yeah, guys, if you don't know, I have a Discord server where I usually chat with people, and you can get announcements there about like new videos, new streams, etc. So if you want to join, you're welcome. And yeah, Pockets, if you can, if you want to share it, you can either drop me a DM like on Discord, or just do that on the server.
Or like it's not going to feel impactful.
I think that I think there's a wide spread of how each ability has the potential to be augmented when we implement the augmentation system.
Right.
I think that even in the start of A2, without augments present, you can see the direction that some of the passives have influence over your abilities.
Like the base talent tree, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We've shown that the way we've constructed in a modular way our ability system, we can drastically change an ability's effects. And we will translate that over to augmentation as well and dial it up. So it's not just flavor. It is fundamentally, the potential is that some of these abilities fundamentally change.
That's awesome.
However, it's also capable that some of its flavor changes, but that's left in the hands of the player. How do they want to either stray away from their original archetype, or how do they want to change some of the flavor of it? Like, that is the customization effort that
that's such a desperate message, but this is so true. Please don't let the Care Bears influence this project. Yes, please.
The player gets to have some agency over.
Yeah. I mean, again, just like when I talk to people, the class system, there's just a lot of people that are worried that it's really just the 8 classes with, if you're a predator, like, you still feel like a rogue. You know what I mean? And I hope that, the hope is with the augment system that it does make you feel more like a rogue, like you can encompass that predator class,
I think it's okay for people to be fearful of that, because when we talk about augments,
because people are gonna be fearful of literally fucking anything.
All we can say right now is what our intent is. And our intent is to execute on it in a way where it doesn't just feel like 8 archetypes.
Right.
So whether or not we land that intent is something people are going to have to wait and see. But know that our work is to ensure that it doesn't.
Nighty night, guys. Ascalon, how do I pronounce your name, actually? Is it Ashkelon? Ascalon? I still don't know. Yeah, but in any case, thank you for hanging out with us. Hope to see you soon. I guess that would be insane to balance. Wait, what? I like the idea of secondary archetype. morphing the primary skills, though I would love to have something like Guild Wars multi-classing. Yeah, but at the same time, they're not going to be balancing it in terms of 1v1. It's going to be a balance in terms of groups. So, like, I mean, once again, what people worry about in terms of 64 classes, I wouldn't worry about it because I would initially consider it to be a game with like eight classes, like 8 archetypes, as if we call them in when it comes to Ashes. But let's say 8 classes that will have in future 8 different, ways to slightly change them. That's what I would treat the game. And if you look at it from this perspective, you have nothing to worry about, right? But if you look at the perspective of 64 unique, perfectly different classes, then yeah, you might actually worry about it. But I don't know, like 8 classes in the game, it's like, okay, I guess.
Just feel like 8 archetypes.
Awesome. Well, the Firebrand showcase, holy shit, Steven. That was so freaking cool. Like y'all's team, bravo to the team that made Firebrand and what he's been doing. Now, looking at Firebrand from Alpha 1, there was an attunement process you had to go through to get the flame ring. And I loved like just that whole like attuning and getting that thing, because if you didn't have the ring, you just die when you go into the Firebrand area, right? Now, looking at the way the Firebrand was presented in this time, it didn't seem like there was an attunement process per se. Now, my question is that are attunements still on the table, or has the team kind of shifted away from the attunement process? Because I think attunements can actually be a really good thing for world bosses, personally.
Yeah, I mean, attunements are a gatekeeping mechanism.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
They're a way to mitigate the potential PVX interaction that could interrupt.
Wait, I just noticed. No, I won't say it because that will fucking trigger you. Never mind.
Your raid,
Right.
Because there is some level of effort that must be exerted by
I'll tell you that in the end.
antagonists who would hope to interrupt your efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was a specific narrative mechanic in A1. Is it possible that we will see those throughout the rest of the game? Absolutely, 100%. That is a valid design mechanic.
Love it.
Yes,
I love it. This could be a very simple question, but a lot of the RPers, including myself, I'm just curious because we know there's religion in this game, right?
Yeah.
What is the gameplay of religion? Like, how do you what is the actual gameplay that surrounds? Is it just quests? Is you just go and pray at a church?
I mean,
Vladis is so excited actually about this event happening and about the just in general, I guess, being able to ask Steven questions like directly and just talking to Steven. I guess that's something new, I guess. And I guess it's also an important milestone for you as a content creator, to talk to the creator of the game, basically.
Yeah,
Keep prep for this for a long time. I can imagine.
Religion is definitely it intersects twofold, right? It intersects at the economy and it intersects at the narrative level.
Okay.
So religion is essentially it's a different flavor of social organization that players can join. This helps to create, again, because we're a non-faction based game. So we have to have a lot of mechanisms that create these pseudo factions that can kind of categorize players into different groups where friction is possible, where not everybody can be a winner across those religious systems, right? When we talk about a particular patron religion of a node, or certain relics that can be acquired, or certain progression in title and rank for players that they can invest in. And that investment requires successful execution of certain narrative portions. And then upon doing so, now they have access to unique vendor tables that intersect with a slice of the economy that provide unique, areas where players can corner a market because they progress to a certain level within the religion. So that's the area where religion intersects. is that ability to create these pseudo factions that players can exert pressure over the economy, control over the economy, because of their due diligence on the narrative systems.
Eve Efolk, thank you for following. I was just calm, and then again notification sound. I really need to do something about it, because it's like thank you so much for following. Yeah, welcome, buddy.
That's awesome. I'm so glad like you and your team are so MMO focused, because it feels like there's just so many companies that don't understand what gamers want. You know what I mean? And it's so refreshing to hear like just how passionate you are, and just like I can't wait. Like I'm so excited. So there's a
Do they only allow you to post gameplay on TikTok, or was that all dev gameplay reposted? No, you can't post anything that's under NDA. You can only share everything that's in public access, and those dev showcases are in public access. Wait, did you find me from TikTok? Is that it?
there's a heated debate going on in the forums. I don't know if you looked at it about.
Oh yeah, I know what. Like, this is the question that I ask a lot. Oh, welcome. Yeah, so yeah, I asked Lotus to ask this question, and I'm really happy that he did that too. Guild Wars 1, even being more of online game, allows single player gameplay, but it's not shy with massacring you with mobs that actually respond with you. For as old as a game it was rather novel to have mobs that would heal and buff each other while dishing out nasty debuffs on you. If you at the very least do not have a party of NPC mercs, you need a full party of players. You cannot get very far otherwise. Yeah, it was similar in Lineage, because it was like in Lineage you heavily rely on the buffs that you have, and DPS classes, tank classes, they don't really have any self buffs, like only like a couple, but you need a lot, right? Because you can have up to 24 buffs in Lineage and up to 12 dances or songs together. And normally you want to have them all, right? So playing solo in Lineage was extremely difficult. Like, it was close to impossible. So you either had to find a group, or you had to, have alt characters. I asked the other day about the keys and found you here. Oh, welcome. I love the progression of zone story through public events in Guild Wars 1. It's one of the best things that Ashes will be doing, and I'm excited. Yeah, and I think also that Ashes, it will be not only present in Ashes, but it will be even better in Ashes. I hope so. However, here in like 12 days, you will be able to see gameplay on TikTok. Yeah, I'm not, this guy is showing up. Hope I'll be playing. Gonna try and get access for my birthday. Oh, you're gonna have a birthday soon. Nice. How old are you gonna be? And Cat wanted to jump. Okay, you can actually jump. Okay. Come on. You want to jump here? No? Okay. So, yeah, I probably will be restreaming to TikTok as well. I think so. So, yeah, there's gonna be gameplay. Yeah, and the end of the month gonna be 20. Oh, you're a young man. Nice.
About how fast should leveling be in Ashes of Creation?
Oh, actually, it's good that you mentioned that. I'm wondering, like we are mostly, older audience who played MMOs for 15 years, 20 years, etc. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about Ashes of Creation as someone from a next generation, let's put it that way, because new generation, they have less interest in the MMOs. They mostly play like other games of other genres. So what about you? Do you think that some bigger clans are going to gatekeep dungeons from smaller guilds that aren't affiliated with them? Most likely yes. Most likely yes. That is also, I have several hive skills who are interested in Ashes. I have multiple kids who have been looking into it and excited. Okay. Nice. This is where I left off on YouTube. Oh, Droog, hang on, I missed your name. Droog Plays. Appreciate you following me. Welcome to the stream. I don't think that is actually too accurate. Most of the younger kids just don't know anything but pay to win and pay to convenience. Absolutely true. And that's also an interesting thing because I'm curious how they will play the game when you don't have those, like handicaps, if that's the right word for it, and how they will actually adapt to like fair competition when you can't do anything, like when you can't get anything unless you work for it or put time and efforts. That's going to be very interesting. Droog is an Ashes streamer too. He's trying to find EU streamers and send his people to. Not sure y'all time frame with line. Oh, okay, cool. I haven't heard about him yet. Well, nice to meet you, sir. Yeah, I played both. Grumpy, Killer Student, and like it one multi-classing. Well, sorry, I can't reply to that. I never played any Guild Wars, so I'll let you have fun. I hate all new gen MMOs. I started playing MMOs by sneaking on my dad's Hunter and WoW, Mists and Pandaria. I'm super excited to get the feel again, especially with having no pay to win. I also miss the aspect of class, subclass, and fluid combat rather than having games. What? I don't know what that word is for mobile. Okay. Streamers on YouTube lately. I'm surprised at how many people are on with pay to win these days. I thought people were against it, but accepted it. People are embracing. Yeah, and the thing is, that's gonna be in the next video that I'll make with all the cringe TikTok comments. I'm like, I have a few cuts, like a few videos with cuts from Steven's interview, and those cuts are a perfect example that in order to make people mad, you just need to open your mouth. It doesn't matter what you will say. Even if it's 2 + 2 = 4, people will still be mad about it. Because there was a video where Steven explains, like, do I want to spoil that? I'll just describe briefly. Well, Steven said that there's going to be no pay to win. And I was like, well, probably a lot of people will be happy about it. And yeah, some people were. But some people were like, oh, fuck this game. No pay to win. Why do I need to grind? I'd rather, I can buy gold in other games. Why can't I do it here? Why would I get banned? And I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Like, ew, It's like crazy.
Now, there's been on the wiki, from what I looked, like anywhere between from 4 to 6 hours. It was going to take like.
How can I keep up with 70 hours, week job, 5 kids and 2 dogs? Yeah, I mean, like, say whatever you want, but the vast majority of games require you to put time and efforts. And it's not only MMOs. If you want to play, I don't know, League of Legends, if you play 1 hour per day, then after a month, you will be losing to people who all this month played for 6 hours a day because they will simply have more experience. It's inevitable. I mean, it makes as much like. Do you want me to tell you a funny story? So my dad has a friend, and his friend had a son, right? And he was back when he was a kid, maybe like, I don't know, 10. He decided to go on like maybe 10 or so, like young, right? So he decided to start playing tennis. So he went to the first training, right? Everything, he's like, yeah, okay, it sounds good. But on the second training, he approaches the coach and asks like, when will we go to Wimbledon? And the coach tells him like, well, if you want to go to Wimbledon, you will need to like, train for many years, etc., win some local tournaments first. Then, like it takes a lot of time and efforts and achievements as well, right? And the guy was like, oh, we're not going to Wimbledon. Fuck you. Fuck tennis, and he just left. And even though like, I understand that he was a kid, like he was maybe like, I don't know, 8-10 years old. That's understandable. But when you see that from people who are like grown up adults, it's just, and the funniest thing is that I enjoy the most is when I see someone writing something stupid, but they're not writing it from, some fake account with no profile picture. I like looking up their profiles, not because I'm some, stalking them or anything like that. I'm just curious who that person is. And usually you just open it up and you're like, okay, no, I won't even reply because it's pretty obvious that, you know, you will just waste your time. So, yeah, it's a funny story. So it's like, oh, I want to go to the, I don't know, join Olympics national team in fucking football. But you know what? I don't want to train. I just want to like play football for half an hour with my friends near my house, and I want to be a member of the Olympics national team. That doesn't make sense. Like, and once again, it's a scare. Like, honestly, without exaggerating, this is a scary trend. Like how people desperately need instant instant gratification, right? Instanced. Yeah. So yeah, my first 20 years was just RO. What's RO? I don't know what's that. Yeah, but in general, it's like crazy times we live in.
70 days or something like that. Has that philosophy changed? Is the leveling process, because I don't know if you've played Classic WoW, but Classic WoW I thought had a very good earnable leveling experience, and that's without XP debt or any kind of failure mechanisms, truly. What is the team's stance on how fast leveling should be?
Oh yeah, wait, we stopped on this question. So yeah, there are two very heated debates on the forum. And yeah, we had a debate with Theory Forge. Well, not with Theory Forge specifically, but on their channel, but more specifically with Diggs. And if you want to watch that, that's there is a video on my channel available.
Well, I mean, as you would expect, we have a diverse set of opinions within the studio about it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
My my current approach in balancing leveling through 1 through 25 is a roughly 100 hours of gameplay, is what it takes to get.
So I will let him finish, and then we'll break this down because we can make a few interesting conclusions based on that.
To level 25. Now,
Wow.
that is not a linear curve, right? This is something obviously where we want to get players quickly to let's say level 10 or level 15 or whatever, right? And then it starts to slow down.
Right.
My idea there might be a bit more on the grindy side. This is obviously,
thank fucking God,
subjective.
No, this is not. This is objective. Please, Steven, this is your game. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Follow your heart, follow your passion, follow your desires, because by following your desires, you become the person that you're supposed to become.
But I think it ties in again to that risk versus reward philosophy, right?
We want risk, we want challenge, we want everything to be difficult. We are tired of those games that are like, even my cat can complete in 2 hours.
Please. We're spreading out also things that can contribute to leveling. It's not all just through grinding, right? There's quests, there's artisanship, there's gathering, there's PvP. Like those things all contribute to gaining progression experience.
If I were thrown in Liberty to max level, I heard it's a bit more. It's like 20, like 10, 20 or something. But in any case, it's just, it blows my mind. If someone told me that 20 years ago, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
And there's a lot of different dials along the progression path that people have the ability to interact with, whether it be their weapon level progression or their, adventuring class progression.
And that's also an argument that people who want, hang on. So the argument that people who don't want a slower leveling is that, look, when you reach the level cap, and even before that, there's plenty of activities that you can do, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, if you take those words into account, like, and use them in a different way, it works like this. If there are plenty of things that you can do, and it's not just pure grind, why does it matter how long does it take to reach the level cap? Because if leveling is not boring, monotonous, and it feels rewarding, why do you care how long will it take? Like, personally, I would want to, if it's gonna be that way, I would want it to take like as long as possible, because that's enjoyable and that's rewarding. So I'm like, yeah. I mean, in many games nowadays, leveling is an afterthought because all systems are designed for endgame. Exactly, but not in Ashes. This level is intended to be level 50. How did they say? 100 hours. Yeah. Yeah. And so let's finish listening, and we'll break this down.
Progression or their artisanship level progression. There's areas where players are going to be distributing that focus. So yeah, I think it's something that we'll collect feedback on from the community as well.
Okay. So let's make some simple calculations that will be wrong, but we need them to be wrong, right? So if it takes 100 hours to reach from level 1 to level 25, right? Obviously, it's not going to be equal. Tech Ruga, appreciate you following. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. I mean, you've been here for some time, but I hope it's not the last time. Yeah. So you guys, real smart, Marta, real smart ZN. Thank you for following as well. Sorry, I didn't manage to read your name from the first time. So yeah, the point that I'm trying to make is 25 levels. Well, technically 24 because you start from level 1, not from level 0, but cat is scratching the sofa, trying to get my attention. So, it takes 100 hours, right? If we divide 100 by 25, just to make it easier, it's gonna be on average 4 hours per level. Is that correct? That is correct. So we know that first levels will be faster, and the amount of XP required will increase gradually, right? It's gonna be like a curve, and it's not gonna be a straight line. It's not gonna be a linear curve, right? Which means that reaching level 25 when you're level 24, it's going to be not, 4 hours. 4 hours is the bare minimum if all levels were equal. We know it's not the case, so it's going to be more than that. It can be like 6 to 8 hours, right? So if we take the bare minimum of 6 hours, right, then we can rightfully assume that levels from 25 to 50 will take, every single one of them will take at least 6 hours, realistically more. But even if they take at least 6 hours, that's already 150 hours, which is 250 hours in total, right? But we know it's not the case. So the point that I'm trying to make is those default 225 hours that people discuss on the forum may not be true already at the moment. So it may be more than that, and most likely it's more than that. It can be closer, like maybe 300, maybe 350 or so, which is obviously better than 225. But I mean, if it's gonna be like 500 or so, that's gonna be, I think, like at least I'll be personally satisfied, right? The original projections aren't lining up with the current XP levels. Yeah, thank you for explaining everything that I just said in one sentence instead of 10 sentences. Yes, exactly. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Oh my God, that makes me really, really excited. I'm just glad it's not going to be an 8-hour, oh, you're max level. And I think that's what people are used to in today's day and age. It's shit, in my opinion. I think my wife, being a brand new MMO player, like we were leveling so quick in WoW, and she just couldn't understand her abilities. She was getting all these abilities on her bar, and she's like, I'm just pushing the same number 1 because that's what I know, because we're leveling so fast. Like having the slow down effect really makes it feel earned. You know what I mean? And I think if you have that quality gameplay with it, it's just going to be special. Like, and I think that
Yeah.
leveling should feel like a journey again, you know?
Agreed. Yeah, I agree 100%.
So, I have
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Wait, what was the last time? What was the last thing that I said that you've heard? Oh, that's a bad take. I'm all for slower leveling. Yeah, slower leveling is the best. I saw you reading and didn't hear nothing. I think just that. Okay. 500. I mean, to begin with, like I wouldn't mind if it was like, I don't know, 2000 hours. I don't care. Yeah, gotcha.
Let me see, probably one more question. And I'm really excited how you're going to answer this. And you've answered this question before, but I really wanted to kind of hammer this home because I think it's really important to the overall design and the kind of sanctity of Ashes. Most other gaming companies, when it comes to breaking TOS, just literally suspend players for buying third-party gold. When it comes to bodying the game knowingly or doing something stupid, can you confirm to players that Intrepid is going to take this heavy-handed approach?
2000 hours is fine if that is an average with death penalties and PvP included. Yeah, like anything. I want a challenge. I really want a challenge.
And just permaban people that are knowing.
Like I just want to, at some point, 2 years after the launch, I want to reach level 50 and have the biggest boner in my life that I ever had. Just looking at that number 50 near my nickname.
Doing shady crap.
Yeah. Well, I think this goes back to, part of why I started Intrepid.
Yeah.
However, the reason that part of the reason why I started Intrepid was by scummy monetization practices on the other side of that.
Watch people farm you and kill you so you fail when you're at 99% over again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But in part also it was because the games that I played in, you almost had to break the rules to stay competitive with everyone else because everyone was breaking the rules.
Exactly.
Right? All of the top players were allowed to break the rules. There was no enforcement, either because the company didn't want to
invest or
mitigate their revenue or whatever reason that existed.
No.
Just so the notification, Vladis is gonna be on Theory Forge tonight. Automod almost banned me. No, I got you. No worries. I just changed the. I just changed the settings to like medium, right? So it might be catching some of your messages, but you're good. Don't worry. Just so the oh yeah, about Vladis. Yeah, but they start at in 1 hour. Oh, actually, wait. Will I stream for 1 hour? I think yeah. We still have time, and we will do something else, and then I will probably raid them. I do not like the idea of going backwards after max leveling. Oh, you're not gonna go backwards. You're not gonna. There is no de-leveling. There is an XP depth, yes, but no de-leveling. So if you reach level 50, you're done. Like you won't have to worry about that. 2 hours is what it's. Oh, 2 hours. Yeah. There were. Wait. Did you? Did you guys have the time zone change? Like, what people do in winter and summer? Like, no, in spring and autumn, I believe. Winter time and summertime. Because I was expecting interview today, interview today at 9 p.m. And then I was like, oh, it's not 9 p.m., it's 10 p.m. So I was like, well, nothing changed here. Maybe something changed in US. Oh, 1 hour from now. Okay, cool.
It created a really toxic atmosphere of who can outdo the other side in essentially breaking the rules. Now, and that's
that will be at like 23rd of October, I think. Okay, you're talking. Yeah.
Gotcha. I would always win, of course. But wouldn't it be
Yeah, when like the funny thing is people say like, oh, Steven was RMTing or botting in other games. Fucking great. It means that he knows how to deal with that, and he knows what people normally do when they have some of those things in mind, right? So if you want to talk about the consequences of, I don't know, alcoholism, right? Of being an alcoholic, you want to ask alcoholic about it, not some person who never drinks, because what can he know, right? I mean, he can know some of the things, but he didn't have that experience. So if you can't go backwards and de-level from max level, what's the point of tavern owners to upgrade their bats to increase leveling XP, especially when most people are max level? And that's another good point. That is another good point, why leveling should be slower. Great one, actually. I mean, it's not, out of all reasons, it's not like super significant, but it definitely fits in. Actually, I'm gonna screenshot this and then add this to the sorry. Yeah, that's a good one.
nice if there was some integrity in the player performance that was embraced by the company and executed on by the company?
Does anyone wish they would have holiday events in Sanctus to reflect IRL holidays? I mean, the idea itself is okay. It depends on the way how they implement it. Don't you dare make a point for de-leveling? No, it's not about de-leveling. Like, it has nothing to do with that. I do agree we shouldn't de-level, but also I want to ensure the other aspects have value and intention. True. They have addressed this probably over 2 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, that's a very good point. I haven't thought about it. To heal that XP debt. Yeah, but it's still not the... I mean, you don't really care about XP debt when you're level 50, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is part of our mission statement, which is...
Unless there's also one more thought that I had. Actually, two of them. Like, one of them was post max level progression, you know, like a prestige system in some games. When you just reach level 50, and for example, reaching level 50 requires, I don't know, like 1 million XP, like from level 49 to level 50, for example, right? And then near your name, you have a counter. And when you reach level 50, you basically keep accumulating that XP. And the moment when you reach level 50 for the second time, basically, so when you accumulate another 1 million XP, that counter changes to 1. So first of all, that can be an indicator of how, like, after a couple of months, there will be plenty of players who are level 50, right? Or in a year. But you don't know whether that level 50 is like, you know, he reached it yesterday or like 6 months ago. So that may be like a sort of an indicator, as well as like a part of information about the player that is visible to you. Secondly, like upon reaching every single level like that, you could, I don't know, get some, I don't know, Chad coin, right? And then you can spend those chat coins on something that is like maybe cosmetics or maybe some furniture, right? Like cosmetic furniture, obviously, or something like that. But that's not the main thing that I had in mind. The another thing is if the XP debt is how long you experience negative side effects, I would care about it more. I mean, yes, but you can just wait or just go kill a few mobs. I don't think that's going to be that huge of a deal. Can we advocate the rested XP effect to do something additional once max level? I mean, technically, you don't need to solve the problems that you managed to avoid. And the problem of rested XP becoming irrelevant is leveling. So you won't have that problem if you make leveling longer, right? So the idea that I had was about artisan skills. So I don't know, like I'm really interested what you guys think about it. Just like to have some other opinions and maybe a different perspective on this. But the way I see it, so we are limited to 2 Grandmaster skills, 3 Maester skills, etc., right? So out of 22 artisan skills. I understand the logic behind it, and even though I personally not a big fan of it, I perfectly understand the logic and it makes perfect sense, right? But nothing stops me from creating an alt character, level him up, like spend obviously some time and effort, and then use him for other artisan skills that are locked for my main character, right? Like there are no problems with doing that. It's not forbidden, nothing like that. So what if it was possible to unlock additional artisan skills, like levels for artisan skills, so like become a grandmaster in 3 skills or maester in like 5 skills, 6 skills, etc. if you spend the same amount of time, efforts, and money as if you would have spent on your alt character. So let's say, for example, if reaching, level 50 requires, 300 hours, right? And I've done that, and then I spent some time to, become a grandmaster at, jerking off, right? And then I want to become a grandmaster at, circle jerking, right? But I can't because that is locked. So instead of me making an alt, why would I, like, wouldn't it be better if I could do the same on one character, but just make me do something difficult, like maybe grind those level 50s 10 times, or maybe, make me spend a shit ton of money or resources or something like that, so that I can have that on one character? Because if I end up having like 2 characters with 4 Grandmaster skills, what's the point of doing that? It's just gonna be not really convenient to switch from one character to another. Lloyd and I talked about this. We would like to see Sanctus used as a server where top tier people could compete and have a single location to do raid challenges, arenas with other servers. Oh, I see. The only negative I can see to that is that there won't lower level players around whenever new people join a game, or at least not as many. Maybe. So what do you guys think about this whole artisan skill idea?
Is, hey, what matters most in any MMO, whether you're a risk versus reward MMO, whether you're an everybody gets a trophy MMO, regardless of whatever the deal is that you protect the integrity of the player activity. And the player activity is what should be driving the in-game market, is what should be driving the in-game economy. Like, these things are paramount in making sure that players feel comfortable logging in each day and exerting effort to achieve whatever they're achieving.
Yeah.
So that is a central focus that, we will be taking forward with us when we talk about how to enforce our rules. And
Right.
I think that even now we utilize that.
I don't mind a new goal once hitting max level, besides just farming raid mats or repair mats. Opening up more character progression would be fine. Yeah, that's the thing. Because another reason why I want leveling to be longer and / or post leveling progression, like post max level progression, is because it doesn't really artisan skills say what? Oh, okay, never mind. You'll probably see it on the forum. So because the moment when you reach a level cap and you complete a quest or kill mobs, all that XP just disappears. So while leveling, you were, for example, grinding Tower of Carfin for 2 reasons, right? It's to gain XP and to get some loot from the mobs. When you're level 50, only one of those 2 reasons remain, and that is grinding mobs for the for some mats or resources or for a glint. And that's not really, like, I mean, it's understandable, it's acceptable, but still, it's still better to have 2 reasons for people to do a certain activity than having 1 reason. You know what I mean? Pouring time into alt for the sole purpose of artisanship will make you feel disjointed from the character. Yeah, exactly. And it will happen anyway.
That even during testing. Let's just say there have been some players which have been disinvited to the testing.
I think you're not going to get rid of sellers. My thing is you got to scare the shit out of buyers. If you scare the shit out of buyers, you starve the sellers. And I think buyers for the longest time felt no, like you said, just there was no fear because the company's not going to do it. If they do suspend me, it's for 3 days, 10 days. It's not too big of a deal. So they keep doing it.
I do think, first of all, agreed. But second is I think that there are ways that we have thought of that even other companies can if they're willing to invest the resources, which a lot of times, unfortunately, they're not.
Exactly.
That you can stop sellers as well. And sometimes even easier than the buyers. So, because you got to remember, those sellers are all about efficiency.
I think with AI detection, discovering gold farmers is going to be super easy. It's never easy. AI may help, but it's super difficult because there's so many ways that I probably won't mention here to not give anyone, like, I hope you're not going to do that, but I won't mention that still, that I've seen people doing that. And it's just super, like, if you will keep banning people in those, like, if you start banning people in those scenarios, you're going to have so many false positive results, which will eventually create more problems than solve, because, like, if you ban a gold seller or a gold bar, like, good, there's still a shit ton of them. But if you ban a person who didn't do anything, he will be, first of all, extremely disappointed. He will most likely share his story on the on the forum, etc. And he will be right to do that. I mean, I would understand, but it's just, it's a double-edged sword. I don't know, being a crafter sounds like a great means of getting you to your goals. I want to be a pirate that everyone will fear seeing on the high seas. I plan on taking crafting and grandmastering some that might benefit naval combat. So many false positive clocks fixing the problem, yeah. But what if there is a minimal amount of false positive? The thing is, those people that become false positives, first of all, it sucks to be them. Like, I wouldn't want to end up in that situation. And secondly, they will become a very vocal minority. Like, there may be 10 of those cases, but you know how negativity bias works. And the amount of backlash that they may get may be huge. So it's a very complicated topic. It's not as easy as it may look like, because catching the sellers, catching the buyers, it's... train the AI enough, it probably could be done, but a rough road to perfect. Oh yeah.
And efficiency can be a trap.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a very easily learned trap that, with the appropriate behavior heat mapping, you can pick up on relatively quickly.
Yeah. Whew.
You wouldn't ban off AI detected behaviors. You would use to create a list of people to what... Well, yeah, that's, I guess, how it's supposed to be in these cases. I understand what you guys are saying, but respectfully disagree. I do believe tech is at the point that you can easily track the gold sellers without the false positives. Okay, imagine a scenario. Me and you are in the guild, right? we're playing together for 6 months. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not feeling it. I want to leave the game. And you're giving me your gear. Right? Technically, it can be both. You just gave me your gear because you can do that. You earned it. But at the same time, there's no way to find out whether I paid it for it or no. So, you know, I'll sell a legendary sword for 1,000,000 gold. Dagger called legendary sword should be perfectly legal to scam. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I have a friend. He doesn't really play games. I'm sorry, I hit the mic. But he was like many years ago. He was playing Lineage, but he was not really doing anything. His part was, and he didn't really care about the game, but there was one thing that he enjoyed, and that was scamming people. You know, making, you know, finding some interesting ways to scam people. You know, exploit like cases when they're not paying attention, etc., etc. And he was really good at it, like social engineering. My respect, sir. Yeah, and he told me a few funny stories, but I don't know, like people enjoy different things. When you, like, there's one thing if you just, you know, hack someone's account, yeah, that's not a good thing to do, obviously. But if you scam someone like that in game, it's I don't know if that's punishable or not, but I don't think it is in Ashes because, you know, but yeah, some people enjoy those things. And it's not because they're, you know, they want to steal someone's gold and buy the gear or just, I don't know, RMT it. It's just like a challenge. Can you outsmart another person to believe you or to make a mistake, you know? Modern captchas don't deter bots because bots can understand the pictures. Modern captchas work by analyzing the clicks, timing between clicks, and interacting. Yeah, sure. Is knowingly deceitful going? I don't know. We will have to look it up. Hang on a second. Sorry, my cat is meowing out there. He demands food.
Well, honestly, like, do you mind just chatting for a couple minutes? Like, I asked all my questions.
Yeah.
I just honestly,
Yeah.
like, what do you do, Steven, like to like mellow out? Like whenever you're done with your day, Ashes, get away from me. I just want to chill. Like, what are you doing? Are you watching?
I think the same line of thinking can be applied to detecting gold sellers. The algorithm can detect behavior and micro expressions. Might be possible, but you need a representative sample of their, you know, suspicious actions to minimize the risk of false positive outcomes. But yeah, I mean, AI, like, I'm not an expert on AI, but I think that AI can definitely help when it comes to analyzing the statistics and logs and, you know, to detect certain patterns.
Anime? Are you, you know, playing some D&D? Like, what are you doing just to chill, relax?
You know, that is a good question. I will say that that perhaps I have not been super good at chilling over the course of the last few
Oh, come on.
I-
You got to rest, Steven. You got some R&R in you, man.
I will, yeah. Well, you know, there is a time to rest and a time to fight. Right now,
Yes, exactly.
it's fight mode.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What I will say is, you know, what are the things I enjoy doing? I mean, I like to game when I can. Obviously, right now I play a little bit of Dota. That's a place where I can let the rage flow. Right, I'm all composed and happy and nice and civil at work. And then if I go and play a MOBA, I'm like, let it flow forth.
Oh my God. I mean,
good.
I kind of like pray for you and your team because I being in crunch is not, you know, I have a buddy of mine who's in, you know, gaming as well. And crunch is not a fun thing. You know what I mean? And I always, I know, like when I heard you talk about that, and I told my chat, I said, guys, they're probably in crunch. They've probably been in crunch. And, you know, and this is just going off of like knowledge from like what my friend was telling me is like, yeah, they have to be like, there's no way they're not. And, you know, just hearing the disappointment in your voice and stuff like that, it really kind of made me, you know, because I know you probably didn't like doing it, but I mean, things, you know, like have to be done, you know, in that sense. And you guys are so close. We're literally, what is it, less than like 14 days away, 13 days away from Alpha 2 launch. I mean, what's been the scariest part about making an
Hey, Squatch Bigfoot. Sorry, I didn't I wasn't really paying attention to chat on YouTube. I primarily focus on Twitch chat. So, howdy, Flanker. I'm fine. I'm gonna send the link to the Twitch channel. So if you wanna like hang out with everyone, come join us. Because once again, I'm not smart enough to combine both chats. So I mostly look at Twitch chat.
MMORPG for you?
What's been the scariest part? Ooh, that's a good question. PoE
introduced an insanely good system this league to stop RMT, and it's basically a currency you gain by doing content. Harder the content, the more you get, but you can still be a casual and gather enough for your casual needs. AKA, if you want to put something on, you pay the currency, and same if you want to buy that item. Oh, I see. Interesting.
Honestly, you know what? The funny thing is I think the scariest part is also the most rewarding part. They're like
Okay.
one and the same. I think that the transparent development approach is both the scariest and rewarding thing.
Yeah, risk versus
I can
reward.
only imagine. Even in my chat, just to be transparent with how I feel about the game is like risk and reward there.
You know, there's a level of understanding that comes with following development of a project this size that not everybody gets. And some people may get it at some times and then they forget about it at other times, right? And that can always be scary because you know, you rely on voices in the community to help spread understanding about what the team is really going through. And I will say that the team is going through some shit right now, right? We are on the daily addressing issues. We are, you know, working very long hours, and we're doing it because we want to succeed at the development of this project for the fans, for the people who want to play the game.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be sad to see certain commentary. Personally, myself, whenever I see negative commentary, it motivates me more. But that's I think unique. I don't think.
Yeah, it's a very good mindset when you want your actions to speak louder than your words, and you just want to make everyone shut up just by showing what you have achieved and what have you done. Yeah, I hope it's gonna work out.
Most people respond that way.
Well, I mean, we're human, right? I mean, it sucks whenever you're making something you're very passionate about and people don't like it, right? It's as a content creator for YouTube, right? If I make a video, I put a lot of time in and then I just get a bunch of dislikes and negative comments. It makes me feel like shit. I'm like, oh God, I thought I actually did good, you know? And I can only imagine like coming from that, especially with so much, right? Because I feel like the genre right now for MMOs is just, it's bad, Steven. Like I'm sure you know because you're doing like I saw this TikTok of Throne Liberty and there's a bunch of bots in Throne Liberty. It's a free to play game and it's just
I saw, maybe he's talking about the same video that I saw on Reddit, but it's like, I don't know, like 10-15 bots just running one after another, and it's fucking terrible. Like and I've seen that in New World as well. That I don't know, that's just mind-blowing.
I fear that for Ashes because it's like the barrier of entry is so low. It's $15 a month. That's it. No box cost, no anything. And I fear that I'm going to log in and see that in Ashes and be like, oh, hell no. And just like report. And, you know, I can't imagine what it's like from your perspective to, you know, I was talking with Adam before we were going live and also just seeing like where your idea of Ashes was probably back in 2015, 2016.
Right.
And like how reflecting on that now, like, and you actually seen your game like in front of you. Is that a surreal experience for you?
Oh, I
Oh,
think
every day
so.
is surreal for sure. Absolutely. And you know what you talked about with regards to the MMO market, you know, it is sad, but from my perspective, that's opportunity. That's the
Yes,
opportunity statement,
Oh,
exactly.
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
It is a shitty situation for my fellow fans that love to play these games to see the state of the market in the way it is. And I think we all agree and know, you know, what that state is. But I see that as the opportunity statement. But yeah,
Good.
you know, it is definitely it is a surreal experience to log in to Ashes today
Hmm.
and look back 3 years ago and see what
Right.
Ashes was, right? Or 4 years ago, or
Yeah.
before, you know, the UE5 move. Like there's a lot, there's been a lot of history in the development of this project
No.
back from when we were a team of a dozen people, you know, to today over 200. So,
It's wild.
and you know, the funny thing is, I will say, like, the stages have been drastically different experiences internally, not just with
Yeah.
regards to the product, but like, you know, what my day to day
No.
is a drastically different experience a year ago and the year before that and the year before that, each of them being unique, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
have you hired an assistant? Like, I know that position, it looks like it's been filled.
I,
Do you,
I honestly, I consider the entire production team my assistants.
oh no, Steven. You need someone helping you, dude. Get like an AI bot or something to like a scheduler or
No,
something,
look,
dude.
I know. I I
Jeez.
moved away from that approach when it got too late, and yeah, that is something.
Well,
That is a different topic.
well, I mean, I would love to continue talking with you. I really, unless you want to keep talking, I mean, I can, but I don't want to keep you. I know you're a very busy man.
Yeah, no. I'm good. We can take another 5 minutes or so if you want to chat about some other stuff,
Oh, okay. You want to talk some aliens?
dude. Aliens. Oh my gosh.
So my dad,
Did you see there's a new Congress there's a new congressional hearing that's scheduled in November?
no, I
Yep.
saw the interview of the head of the Air Force admitting to alien UFOs. Like that's not anything that we know of in the United
Look,
States. Any other
I mean, when I take a look at the world is ready for aliens. Let's put it that way.
I
country?
don't know if it's aliens, extra dimensional beings, some future tech that we have access to, or whatever it is. But when people of the caliber that come as eyewitnesses and people who've been a part of the government and they
Hmm.
under sworn testimony are giving evidence that they believe is
I mean, is sworn testimony isn't using a lie detector. I don't know what's the word for it. What's the word for it in English? Isn't it more efficient because you can like there's like 1% chance that it will give something that you will be actually capable of lying to it. Um, let's see. Um, yeah, lie detector. True. Polygraph, yeah, as well. Isn't it more effective when talking to people when it comes to subjects like this?
is representative of the weird shit that's happening. Like,
Well, nothing stops you from lying under the oath, yeah. But why that's significant is that the federal crime to lie if you're under oath. So those testifying risk life in prison for saying false things. Yeah, but when you're talking about like, oh yeah, I saw a flying object, I think those are aliens. I mean, who's gonna be there to confirm it, right? And if aliens actually like invade us, people will have other problems to take care of, right? I would probably use lie detector because it's like a no-brainer in my opinion.
that's a second head look,
Oh,
right? That is where you're like, okay, this guy's been like undersecretary of defense for 20 years, or this dude's like a Top Gun, you know, pilot.
Aliens have already invaded. Oh man, I hope so.
Pilot who knows the most advanced like equipment that's capable, and they're talking about this eyewitness testimony, and you look at that and you're like, well, something's happening there. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but there's something there that's interesting. I'm just glad that there's some more things happening next month where they're bringing in some more whistleblowers, quote unquote whistleblowers.
Oh yeah. So my dad, he saw a UFO multiple times, and he like, so when I was growing up, like my dad, he made me watch Fire in the Sky when I was like 9 years old. Okay, have you seen Fire in the Sky, Steven? The alien movie?
I think I
Like, the only similar experience that I had is that I was with my mother. We went on a trip to Western Ukraine back in, I don't know, I was maybe like 10 years ago or so. And there was a forest and a mountain, and I was going basically climbing the mountain, right? Obviously the peak was very far, but I was just, having fun as a kid. And I saw something in the sky, and it was like, I couldn't, like, it wasn't a plane or something like that, but there was something. But was that an UFO? I don't know.
saw that when I was much younger. Yeah.
Oh my god, that movie
I don't
was.
even want to go to that. That's creepy. Like again,
the hell out of me.
The whole UFO topic, I think you start to get into crazy land when you try to derive some explanation for it yet.
Right.
Like
yeah.
I'm not anywhere near that stage. I'm like, I don't try to draw a conclusion. I just say there's something that's inexplicable or that we can't explain with certainty. We should be investing in having people help explain what is happening.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I was talking about previously. You need to draw a line between things that you know and you don't know, and you need also to draw another line between the things that you have seen, the things that you think you have seen, and your assumptions about what you have seen. I had a nightmare in Mexico where there was a creature on the wall outside of the window of the house I was in. I woke up in the morning and told the family I was with, I had a nightmare, and they asked, was it the creature on the wall or in the tree? Lost my shit and never stayed here again. That's probably a good call. I had nightmares from a movie about aliens when I was 16, and then I have a similar story. It was a fucking 10 out of 10 story. So my bed is there and my window is there, right? So I watched a movie that was called let me hang on. I need to find the name, how it's called in English. How is it called? The Fourth Kind. So it's about alien abducting people. So the thing is, when aliens, in that movie, when aliens abducted people, the night before that, or the night during that, yes, there was an owl that was sitting on the window. And I watched the movie, and maybe a couple of weeks after, I wake up because of the sound. I open the eyes, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I hear some noise. So I just take a phone and I use the flashlight, and those fucking two eyes are staring at me from the outside, and I see that this is an owl. And I'm like, no fucking way. Like, what? But then I was like, oh wait, aliens. Not that bad. Maybe that'll teach me something. But at the first moments, I literally shit my pants because it was so, it was such a coincidence that I saw that, and it happened to me like literally a few weeks after I saw that movie. It never happened after that. So maybe I have maybe I've been abducted and I don't even know about that. What if they erased my memory? At least it's just aliens. I think fairies are much more frightening. Nightmare Fuel. Same, but part of the movie is that they erase the memory. Exactly. So maybe, have I been abducted by aliens? That's a good question. But you remember the first time you see it. It's fucked, man. Exactly. Do you think I've been... What if I'm immortal now? You think it's possible? I don't mind being immortal because I'll be able to, grind in ashes of creation forever. What you gonna say now, casual players? I am fucking immortal. Well, technically, look, it all adds up. Number one is I have seen an owl, right? So there's a chance that aliens abducted me and gave me immortality. Number two, I haven't died in my life, right? I haven't died for a single time. So that's another factor that I may be potentially mortal, right? Tell me the name. I'm gonna send it in the chat. Yeah, that movie is scary as fuck because it's not just a movie, it's like a pseudo documentary, right? And with Mila Jovovich, I believe. What's her name? I don't know how to pronounce her name properly, but Mila Jovovich, the lady from Resident Evil movies. Yeah, but that was surreal. Yeah. So if you're looking for a decent horror movie, this one is actually decent.
It should be open. It should be transparent.
Yeah.
Right?
No, absolutely.
And if it is some military secret, then there should be congressional oversight, right? Not these people that are getting stonewalled from explanation.
Yeah. No, I 100%.
Yeah, don't watch it.
I mean, so like my dad.
Yeah, there are some really creepy scenes. Like, and it's not only, you know what I like the most about the horror movies? It's not the jump scares, it's not some fucking monsters or creatures, it's the atmosphere. And it's the same that I like in horror games. It's the atmosphere that is, like, I don't know, like, never mind. You get what I'm saying.
One of his really good friends is a Southwest airline pilot, and the stories that he's told my dad and alien crafts, like even back in the 80s, in the 90s, coming from the water, being, it's wild. And so like me and my dad, we've grown up and we've been very much like into the whole conspiracy stuff, aliens and everything like that.
I'm not at all a conspiracy theory dude. Like, not.
Oh, I am.
Generally, I'm usually pretty vanilla when it comes to like,
right.
The simplest explanation is the most likely. But this stuff is kind of weird, and the caliber.
Hitchhiker Effect. I just looked up what that is. Is that like a movie or something? Or what's that?
For people that are reporting on it are enough to make me say there's something there.
Oh, I know. Like I said, like the head of the Air Force, like, I mean, he was a decorated, general or something like that. And he was going out just saying some pretty outlandish stuff.
That's a real thing. They say when you start engaging with alien stuff, you then start to experience paranormal activity in your own life. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna look it up. It's 3 almost 4 a.m. here, so it's a perfect time to read about things like this. I'm gonna save it. Okay. I have been reading a webcomic based heavily on Native American lore, wildlife. Never say you lost wild in the woods. Yeah, right. 3 a.m. Well, have I encountered any paranormal activity? Not that I remember of.
You know what I mean? And he was hesitant on saying it. Like, he was taking deep breaths. It's like you just see his body language and stuff like that. It's wild.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, Mio. I heard something like that, I believe.
Steven, again, I could not be more thankful and more privileged to have you on the show. Thank you for making episode 100 as special as it is, and thank you for making MMOs great again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Love it. Thank you for all you do. Love your podcast. I think you do a great job with it. I love the guests that you have. Thank you for following us, and thanks for your support. And for everyone in the audience, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. Like I said, you guys can follow me here at, Vladis Gaming here on Twitch. You can also follow me, of course, on YouTube at Vladis Gaming. And of course, you can follow Intrepid Studios at Ashes of Creation everywhere. You know, go sign up. Use my link to sign up for the game. Alpha 2, you guys just started to do a new contest, the Gleam contest, where people can probably win access to Alpha 2.
Oh yeah, guys, if there is anybody who is not aware, I'm pretty sure you heard it, but I'll just remind you that there is Ashes of Creation is currently giving away 100 Alpha 2 keys. Even if you have a key, you can still already have a key or a pack, you can still participate and maybe give it to your friend or something like that. But yeah, the Thunder Children might lead you to their den and eat you or steal your hat. Yeah, I've heard some stories about that, but not like similar stories, but not from the Native American perspective, but from I don't remember. But it was something about the mountains. Let's put it that way.
To access, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we launched that today. So guys, thank y'all so much for all the support, all the likes, all the subs, everything. I couldn't be more thankful for you guys. You guys have a great one. We will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.